I'm Holly Constant.
And I'm Maddie Hockaday. We really love Parks and Rec, and we really love behind-the-scenes details.
So we're researching everything from DVD extras like deleted scenes and commentaries,
plus interviewing cast and crew who actually worked on the show.
We also bring on guests and friends to geek out about everything parks.
So join us, you tropical fish.
This is literally the best Parks and Rec rewatch podcast.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome to Park Pals. We are here. We're doing it, and this is it. This is the final episode.
We've made it, everybody. The end of season 3. So much happens in this episode. I guess my brain doesn't put together that all the stuff that happens at the end of the episode was part of this episode.
Yeah, totally. It sets up such an interesting, not cliffhanger, but kind of a cliffhanger for next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started, I have a little bit of a recap, but also more of just a housekeeping situation. For those of you who don't know / don't follow us on Instagram, what are you doing? Please follow us on Instagram,
yes.
Park Pals Podcast. But also, if you don't, then I'm letting you know about our Patreon. We now have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/parkpalspodcast, and you can get exclusive early access to episodes. You can ask questions to guests. I'll post in there when we're having a guest so that you can ask questions to them, and I will ask them. You can get early video releases, and you can message us privately. It's like a whole community. It's like a Facebook group, but it's on Patreon. And that is $8 a month, so it's super easy and I feel like $8 is not that much for all the content that you would get. But, depending on if I hear back from people, I can lower it because I know Disney and Hulu is $7? So if I need to go down $1, that's fine. But for right now, there's a lot of amazing things. So patreon.com/parkpalspodcast. I'll link it in the show notes. It'd be great to start this community.
Yes, we're very excited. Also, side note, if you don't follow us on TikTok, you should do that too.
Oh, yeah. That's true. We have a TikTok.
Yes.
And
Holly puts the cute little videos from this, which I love. I know I'm here, but I actually really like watching them, especially after I've listened to the episode. I'm like, oh, that's what we looked like.
Yeah, it is interesting. And it's just a kind of portal into the talk. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
nice.
Oh, because we're actually, you guys probably don't know this, but we're very animated when we talk. We use our hands and lots of facial expressions.
Especially about Park Pals.
Absolutely.
I wanted to also recap because so last week we did Andrew Burlinson or Burley, but the week before that we did Jim Jansen, who was Anne's office mate. He sent in voice memos, and that was just really awesome to hear. So I just wanted to shout him out a little bit. And then, another recap moment is that we wondered if Chris was on the 4th floor when he was talking to Tom and comforting that crying lady. And he definitely is. I rewatched it. Right. You can hear shouting. There's this big, awful splotch, dirty splotch on the wall behind him. Totally.
All right. Cool.
Because when I was editing it, I was like, let me go back and double check that. And yeah, it's also speaking of which, the shouting and stuff, I always use my headphones to edit, obviously, but I don't always use headphones to watch the episode. And I went back and you can totally hear the little water trickling thing in the back that, because he had that, water fixture, the Swedish one. So I just wanted to shout that out because the sound design is always so good. And I always hear the fluorescent lights too when I have my headphones on, which is amazing. So
and that's accurate.
Yes. So accurate. Oh my gosh. And very office corporate-y government situation.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is that Jeff Sloniker, at the end of the last episode, who is the shoe shine guy or the new shoe shine guy, sent in voice memos or a voice memo. And it's a little bit longer on the longer side just because I didn't splice it up. But I wanted to play that for you because it's so, so good and so fun. So here we go. Let's see if this works.
Perfect.
Hi, this is Jeff Kenji Sloniker, and this is my experience on Parks and Rec. How did I get my job on Parks and Recreation? Actually, it was so long ago, I don't remember. I kind of think I was cast because I was part of the Upright Sons Brigade Theater, and we did a lot of improv. But I do remember my manager, Todd Sellers from Brillstein, calling me and saying, "Hey, Jeff, you got the part." And I was like, "Oh, that's great." I got sent the sides. I remember really studying the sides. Yeah, I think somebody knew me from the community. Maybe someone dropped out at the last second or something. I have no idea. I'd like to say I went into that audition and I just slayed, but I don't remember. So I could just say that I slayed the audition. Being on Parks was pretty awesome. Like, you know, I went on a lot of lots, and I think it was CBS Radford that they filmed on, and I went there. And I've been there a couple times to audition for other things. But like walking on the lot as an actor, after you book something like an established show, it just feels like that's what I do it for. That's why I moved to LA. I was born to do this. You know, you're walking, and then I'm looking at this map and it shows you where to go. And it's like the back part of the lot. And I'm like, oh, this is what a back lot means. And like, it's the part of the lot that I've never seen before. And I'm walking over a bridge. I remember there was a bridge, and then there was their set. And I was like, there's a bridge in this studio? Like, this is crazy. Like, I guess I am VIP. I get to go out this way. So I went there, the AD met me, took me to costumes, hair and makeup, and they were super nice. Everyone was like family. And I say family because the AD's like, we're like a family. And now that you're cast as the shoe shiner replacement, you're going to be called a lot, and you're going to be coming in because this is a big part of Chris Pratt's character's, whole arc, and he's leaving it. So we're going to have him keep coming back and giving advice to the shoe shine guy. So you're going to definitely be back. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm coming back. This is it. This is my life. I'm going to walk on a set, and I'm going to have like a bit part every couple months. And newsflash, I didn't ever get called back. I never got called back to the shoe shine. The shoe shine guy's gone after Chris Pratt's gone, you know. So yeah, it was a pretty awesome experience. So my scene was with Chris Pratt, and that was pretty great because he was, you know, he's rising in stardom at the time, and everyone thought he was really funny. I'm like, wow, how lucky was I to get a part with Chris Pratt? And if you saw the role, it's a tiny part, and I kept trying to get my lines down. I'm like, can't mess this up. I can't mess this up. And I get down. I'm sitting on the shoe shine booth seat, and like they're all talking. They're putting all the lighting and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, they bring in Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt comes over, and he's like, hey. And he looks me right in the eye. He goes, let's have some fun with this. Let's just go crazy, okay? You say whatever you want. I got your back. I'm going to do it with you, okay? Let's do it. Let's just... whatever you want. Let's make the scene a little bit bigger. I mean, let's just have fun with it. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is the biggest break. And then they're like, Chris, last looks. And then Chris like disappears to get makeup or something, like, you know, famous people makeup, not the makeup I was wearing. And the director comes right to me and he goes, stick to the script. Don't do much more. And I was like, okay. And like, I had this decision, like, do I potentially make the director mad at me and have a laugh fest with Chris Pratt, or do I make the director happy and show him that I'm easy to direct and come back? Because everyone's telling me I'm coming back, which I didn't. Remember, I didn't come back. And they're all like, you're going to come back. So I was like, you know what? It's better to be on the director's side and not Chris Pratt. I'll make up with him. We'll be buds later. And so the scene happens. It goes by so fast. It went by so fast. And it was like maybe 2 takes and we're done. And then Chris Pratt is wheeled off. And there's a split second where I really did think Chris Pratt was like disappointed that I didn't go for it. And I was like, well, I'll be back and we'll go for it. And I would never come back. And that was it. It was great. But it was great. It's like one of my, favorite little stories to tell. So I never so after we filmed, everything was done. I never watch that episode because I just don't like to watch the things I was in because I just kind of pick it apart. But people would go, hey, I saw you on Parks and Rec. And I'm like, wow, they saw it. Like, it's such like the tag part of the episode. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And to this day, I'm, working a lot in tech as well, like tech entertainment, stuff like that. I will get people going, hey, were you in Parks and Rec? And I'm like, oh yeah, I was. Oh, and the craziest thing is my hair in that thing. Like, for some reason, that part of my acting life, every role that I booked, wanted to brush my hair into this awful mushroom cut. And I knew it looked dumb, but I thought it was funny because I'm a comedian and I like funny stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I look awful, but it's funny. But now years later, when people are like, we're in Parks and Rec, I'm like, yeah. And then I watch it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that freaking mushroom cut they all did. So it's kind of fun, but it's also humbling because it's like I look like a big dum-dum in everything I did back then. So yeah, it was a fun experience.
That's it. But oh my gosh, that was so informative and so animated, and I just loved every single one of those stories. I can't believe that's like the first time though that I've heard of an actor being told that he's going to come back and then he didn't. That's so sad.
Well, I feel like most of our people that we talked to that were recurring characters weren't necessarily told they would be coming back, right? It was kind of like a surprise to them, unless they already knew, like it was already written that they would be. But like I think even Purd had said that he wasn't sure.
Yeah. So. I do remember Linda Montana, the one who sings the national anthem, though. She was like told she was going to be, and just like Jeff, they were like, if they like you, they'll bring you back. It's one of those like, get your hopes up and do a good job because you'll be coming back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you guys, don't tell them that.
I know. Well, and it's like, I feel like it's hard because he had that decision to make, right?
Oh my gosh.
He probably, and he probably thought for a couple times, like, if I had played with Chris Pratt and it had turned out funnier than the script, would I have been brought back?
Right, that's true.
So
I probably would have done the same thing as him, honestly.
Oh yeah, I understood where his choice came from, 100%.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like hard because in the moment you're like, how can I make this a balance of like fucking around, but also like sticking to the script? You know what I mean? Ugh. Whatever. That sucks. But I'm really happy by his performance. Like we talked about in the last episode before we even knew he was going to send in voice memos how much we liked him. So he did a great job regardless. So
absolutely. And the haircut fits the character very well for this.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Very innocent, very young almost.
Oh yeah.
So thank you, Jeff, for sending those in. I'll link Jeff's Instagram in the show notes and tag him on our Instagram so you can follow him. But we really appreciate that. Love that so much. Okay, so that's pretty much all the recap from the last episode. Now I have a couple of informational tips, knowledge, whatever, for this Lil Sebastian moment. Super quick, like bombshell moment. I was listening to the commentary and there were a lot of changes on the shooting draft, apparently. So they originally had it where Ron finds out that Ben and Leslie are together at the end of the episode. Oh. And the janitor with the Shania Twain situation that comes up catches them making out. So they decide, okay, we're going to tell Chris tomorrow. That's it. And then they come in and they to Chris's office the next morning and they catch Chris making out with Tammy too. And it was because it was like Chris seizing the day because like, you know how in this episode he's all about like, I'm going to die soon, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sorry I'm telling you all this now. Maybe that would have been better later, but I just couldn't hold it in. This feels like...
okay, I want to know it.
It feels like something that is so juicy to me that is not how the episode worked out. But yeah,
but also barf.
I know, right? Ew. But it makes total sense for Tammy too to like finagle her way into literally everyone Ron works with. You know what I mean?
Very true.
But that would have been a great alt to see that. It wasn't in the deleted scenes, but that was in the shooting draft. So they might have just changed it on the day of. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Which is crazy. That's what they talked a lot about in the commentary, that like on the day of or like the day before, it was very fast that they changed a lot of the ways that they had it in the writing room. Like finally, though, when they got to set or whenever, they were like just a quick moment happened and they were like, we should change it. And I was like, what? So anyway.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine?
Crazy.
It'd be so different.
Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
Yeah, telling Chris so fast seems so out of the ordinary for what we know now as the story, you know?
Yeah. And I wonder, like, in the plan, did it have them telling Chris even though they had found him making out with Tammy?
Well, so they go to tell Chris and that's when they find out. Oh, you mean like, do they tell him anyway?
Right. Do they actually follow through or are they like, oh, gross, and they run away?
Oh, I don't know. Good question. I think that would have been the cliffhanger, so we wouldn't have found out till like next season. But I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah, interesting.
Maybe I think that they would have had like leverage at that point. You know what I mean? I don't know. Now we're going off into fantasy land, but
yes,
that's also what we do.
This is not canon.
Right, not canon. Okay. Then they weren't sure. Okay, the other thing that I found out on the commentary is that they weren't sure if they were going to have Leslie run for office. Like, that took a while for them to come to that, because they were talking about how at the beginning of the show, the beginning of the whole series, that they wanted this to be about workers, like bureaucrats, not elected officials. Like, it was supposed to be about the people that are working below them, and like the kind of trudging along people. Doing the grunt work. So it took them a long time to come to the conclusion that they wanted her to run for office, which I thought was really interesting, because now when I look at it or whatever, it just seems like that's always something that was always a goal of hers. But you know.
I don't know if, you know how a show has to have momentum. I think it would have lost momentum if she had never left that position.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
She has this drive and this get shit done attitude that, like, there's no way she wouldn't have moved up.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it was the right call. And they did it a really beautiful way where she's in an elected official position, but she can still work her current job. And then you're still getting to see all the rest of the parks people do their work. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's probably the conclusion they might have come to. Maybe not in those exact words, but that's how I felt too. I was like, yeah, it wouldn't have gone anywhere with her. I mean, I'm sure we could have come up with like all chaos and things like that, but and storylines, but it would. It's so much more conflict and excitement with this. And, yeah, momentum.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's that. And then the last thing I have to say is I wanted just to briefly, I don't think he's going to listen, but I wanted to give a shout out to Johnny Martin, who was a camera person on seasons 4 and up. I got his info because Tom McGill, who was the second camera operator to Shauna Hagen, who we've talked to, who is also the camera operator, emailed me back, and he said that, so Johnny and Tom both said they couldn't do it right now, but Tom gave me Johnny's email, and I'm just like so grateful because like they said that they could email every now and again if I had like questions and stuff, which I kind of do already with Shauna. But Johnny had a really good idea, and I'm not trying to get my hopes up or get anyone's hopes up, but Johnny had the same idea. I didn't even mention it, but he was like, what would be really beneficial, I think, would be to have all the camera people come together and talk about our funny stories and like talk about the things that we all worked on together, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I want that so badly.
I will cry. Holly.
Like, I want all of that. So, like, if I could get Tom, Shauna, Johnny, and I think he said there were 2 other people that were on the camera crew, I would die.
Oh my gosh.
It would be, I feel like that one would be our live one. If we ever did a live Instagram or a thing for the Patreon, that would be it.
Yeah.
So he said to reach back
Absolutely.
out in a couple of months, so we'll see. But they're both like really busy working on stuff and whatever, but I just wanted to give it a shout out to actually responding back, because it's always nice to hear from them. So
yeah we
prayers
appreciate
for
it,
them coming back.
yes. Beautiful.
Yay. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So now we have season 3 episode 16 season finale. Crazy Lil Sebastian. Our guy Gideon.
Yes, our guy Gideon. I have a little thing. Because I found this funny, because I did some research on the episode, obviously, like we do. But they had a whole little synopsis for Lil Sebastian. They have like his birthday, and then up to like he died when he was 25 years old, which we did know.
Yeah.
And then it has his occupation listed as mini horse.
Oh,
so that was cute.
What he does.
Yeah, that's just who. Yeah, I just thought that was great.
That's his job.
Yeah. I was like,
he's being himself.
yeah, exactly. I loved that. And then it listed wife as Coconut.
Okay, yes.
And ex-girlfriend as Ladybug.
Oh,
so they
scandalous.
distinguished between which one was current and which one is.
But they both had to come out for his memorial. How awkward.
Right, which means Ladybug could have still been a girlfriend. There are people out there like that.
Okay. When was his birthday? Did you write that part down?
It was 1986. They didn't have an actual date.
Oh, okay.
But they said 1986. It is what it is. But yes, so I also read, and again, I'm not getting this information from a person, so with a grain of salt, everyone. There was originally talk that it would be discussed to kill off a human character.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, perfect. It was a quote by Mike Schur, but it was also like, I don't know if I trust this website. to be quoting Mike Schur. So anyway, but yes, and then they decided that it maybe was a little too harsh, and they decided
I think they
against
were gonna do like the mayor. I think they had talked about
I saw that.
how. But like they talked about how that was, maybe a little not too dark, but just like it's just funnier and a little bit almost sadder that it's like an animal, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they do end up killing the mayor off later, but it just seems a little bit more timely.
Yes, definitely.
So, yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Additionally, I did not realize this when we did. Was the bubble really the last one we did?
Mm-hmm.
My gosh. So I did not realize this when we did the bubble, but this episode and the bubble aired 30 minutes later than typical, like it typically would be, because The Office aired Search Committee, which was a 2-parter 1-hour episode. So instead of airing at 9:30, this aired at 10:30.
That sucks.
Insane? Yeah, which probably, like we were talking about before, definitely had something to do with the
ratings.
Yeah.
Or viewership or whatever.
Yeah, because I understand the benefit of being like, hey, let's put us after The Office because people are going to be watching The Office, and then it's kind of a similar vibe. We'll catch the same crowd. But now you're getting to the point where it's like, well, they're going to obviously give precedence to The Office.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what's happening here. So,
especially since it's like Michael wasn't there anymore, and like, how are we going to keep people watching without Steve Carell? And
right.
That sucks though for Parks, but I get it. But still, 10:30. I'm not watching that. I mean, if I was a new viewer, like obviously, since I love Parks, I'll stay up for it. But yeah, that sucks.
It does suck. Yeah,
but good information.
Yeah, and then the producer's cut has an extra 6 minutes of material.
Mm-hmm.
Heads up, so that's cool.
That's all on Peacock now.
Yeah.
Everything you see on Peacock is the producer's cut, which is wild.
Yeah, which makes me question what was not in the original.
I know.
Because it's been so long since I watched the one that aired.
Yeah.
On TV.
I don't even think I watched the one that aired, to be honest. I feel, well, unless they added that later, because I feel like the ones that I watched, like when it was on Netflix and stuff, I feel like those were producers' cuts, some of them too. So I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
But the last thing I have is that Mike Schur has labeled his favorite scene in this episode as the scene with Leslie and Ron, when Ron catches Leslie in her fancy outfit.
Oh, yes.
Because he was like, Ron says nothing, basically. And Leslie just goes for it. And he said he laughed so hard. Like that was his favorite scene. So I just thought those were cool little moments.
Great little tidbits. So, and a friendly reminder, too, that Lil Sebastian was kind of like originated because I believe it was Alan Yang had sent like an email to Katie DePold or like to the writers crew or something. And it was either Alan Yang or Katie. I can't remember which one, like what all happened. But basically they were exchanging and one of them was like, that's so creepy. What the hell is a mini horse? Like, that's so weird. And then they decided to put it in the show.
Love it.
But yeah, that scene with Ron is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yes, we will.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I have a summary if you're ready.
Well, let me just first tell you that this was directed by our favorite guy, Dean Holland. No, you're good. Oh my God. I was just going to tell you who was directing this, but it's very short. Dean Holland. We love this. Side note, he has a production company called Dunshire Productions. Like, as in Dunshire Cones of Dunshire. I was like, what? You guys should, I might post it in the show notes, but the website is so funny. Anyway, so Dean Holland, and then this was written by Dan Gore, who we know because he created Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or co-created, I guess. Great team here. Both of them have worked on The Office, Parks, tons of stuff together. So really love that we brought people that already know the show back for this huge finale.
Yeah, and it's kind of making me wonder because I feel like most of the big episodes to us, they're usually like these head honcho people running it. It almost makes me wonder, do they plan it that way because they know it's going to be a big episode, or are they big episodes because it's these people? Right. I feel like
it's probably a mixture of both, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I just also was watching Ghosts. This is random, but Ghosts, which is a TV show based on a UK show that we have now, I think, on CBS. And I just saw that Alex Hardcastle, one of the directors that we talked to, directed one of those. So shouts to him.
Nice. Very cool.
Okay, I'm ready for summary.
Alrighty. Here we go. A lot is about to change in the Parks Department of Pawnee. When little Sebastian passes away unexpectedly, the Parks Department puts on a memorial fit for a king. Leslie and Ben try to keep their relationship hidden. Tom and Jean Ralphio work together to fill a void in the Pawnee market. And Ron and Leslie deal with unexpected visitors, while Chris fears of dying.
Yes. Oh, Chris.
Yes.
Dramatic, bro.
Very, very much so. Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on this episode.
Well, speaking of Tom and Jean Ralphio in the summary, we open with them talking about new ideas for their business ventures because Jean Ralphio got run over by a Lexus. I love that he has an idea for open heart surgery. We call it open heart surgery. And then something with a jet. Oh my God, it's so dumb.
Yeah. They're matching in their purples, which I thought was really cute.
I didn't even realize that. That is cute.
I thought that was probably a very intentional choice.
Like mirroring each other, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Gore. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like nobody else in the office, besides Donna maybe, is going to wear a purple like that. Like you're not going to see Jerry wearing that. So it was like putting Tom on the level with Jean Ralphio rather than on the level of the Parks Department.
Yeah, purple's definitely a little bit more like trendy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dan Gore on the commentary said that they had a lot of discussion on how to have Jean Ralphio come into this money, and their first idea was to have him finally come into his trust fund because the idea was that he was actually 40.
Oh my god.
And that was the age that he could come into his trust fund. But
so
then
funny.
On set, like I said, lots of things changed. On set, Dan changed it to hit by a Lexus, which thank God he did because that is so funny that Ben Schwartz does that.
Yes.
Sings that rather.
Well, and later there's insinuation that he knows a guy, that he set it up.
Yes, which I think is so funny because it really reminded me of Better Call Saul. I was like, that's the whole premise of that show.
I also don't remember if this was ever with you, but I remember Ivan and other people in college, we would make jokes about hit me, car, hit me so we can pay for college.
Oh yeah, I used to say that all the time.
Okay,
just
so you were one of them with me. Yeah, don't kill me, just injure me enough to owe me millions of dollars.
Right. Yeah, it might not have been with you and me particularly, but I've definitely thought that.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ben Schwartz was doing another show right before this, and he said that he spent a lot of time making his hair the most volumed that he could because it wasn't as volumed in the other show, and he knew that the creators really liked it when it was floofy and puffy, which I think is so funny. And also, there's another fun because his hair is totally a part of Jean Ralphio's character.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
If he had a flat head or a shaved head, absolutely not. No.
No.
Also, fun fact, he said at the beginning that he wasn't really feeling it. He couldn't get into the character, which is so wild because that's so not how it comes across, especially in that first episode. But Mike Schur gave him one note. He was like, douchier. Play it douchier. And he did it and he nailed it. And that's how it all happened.
Wow. Great. That's so good. He mentions that jet, like you said. And I think he says turn a jet into an apartment. Right. But there was this old train on tracks in Illinois where I lived, and they turned it into a restaurant. So you were eating in train cars. So I was like, that actually kind of would be a cool idea. Because my brother and I, when we were little, we thought that was the coolest shit. Was eating dinner in a train car.
I love a themed restaurant. So
Oh, yes. I would go
there.
Yeah, that could have worked. But
yeah. Oh, my God. I also love how, stupidly but amazingly supportive Jean Ralphio is. He's obviously not supporting smartly, but he's always yeah, totally cool, whatever you say, it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah he believes in Tom.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I also back to this Lexus thing, that was one of my favorite lines too. Not the singing part, even though that was great, but the whole do you want to get run over because I know a guy.
Yeah.
Very gentle scrapes and what does he say, minor scrapes and bruises. Major dollars and cents. And
that's the inflection he uses, though.
Totally.
Major dollar and cents. Just so
yes.
good. I love him.
A radio host or something like that.
Yeah.
I like that Tom says the Entertainment 360 thing because you're willing to go around the world for your clients twice. Love that.
Yeah. Also, not a great name.
I know. It's so weird.
Well, and then they do like the logo they come up with is like an E that then looks like a world, and then 720. And it's just like, I think it's too much is going on.
Right.
Like you had too many ideas and now we're all confused.
I know. Totally. Yes. Entertainment 720. I missed that.
So
Can't
good.
wait till we get to that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
But I loved this line of, I can't do this without you. Okay, I'll do it without you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I really think this would have been a good idea for Pawnee. I really do. I think it just was not executed appropriately. And as the episodes go on, we'll dissect that a little bit more. But, you know, when I first heard this in the series, I was like, this is not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like, again, it's that thing in any business or podcasting or music or whatever. You do have to have a bit of a niche. You can't say I do everything, or I'm super eclectic, because no one knows what you do. If you know what I mean? It's like your branding's totally off. So if he had an event venue, that would be, and then maybe branched out into little things, that would be the best.
Well, and that's what I thought the warehouse was supposed to be. Because this is so far down the line, but this is how I feel about it. They have that closing party, right? Like the best party to end all parties. And it was, they had like a giant, I think it might have been free, but if they had put a cover charge on that, that place was packed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
like they could have had weddings there or whatever. But yeah, I think it's one of those things too, though, where you dream big and then you forget to do all the research. Like even with I hate to say it, not to give them like shouts, but Park Pals is a Disney thing. And I did not look that up before I said the idea. Like,
That's
so when
so
you just Google Park Pals, I'm hoping one day to take over Disney, but there's no way I can do that. Or maybe Disney will buy us and we'll be rich.
There you go.
Oh, I'm fine with that. Just give me the check.
Yeah.
But I looked up Park Pals, or I just typed in Park Pals to see what our SEO was one time, and that came up, and I was like, oh, oops. So you do have to type in Park Pals podcast, and then we're the first thing. But
yeah.
But yeah, you just have to think about it a little bit before you start a business. But that's what this is illustrating.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely.
So then we get into the parks department. This is super misleading because Leslie says she has some very important news about our fave mini horse, little Sebastian.
She looks happy.
Yeah, she has a smile on her face. Oh my
Leslie,
God.
Way to
He died last night.
Yeah, I was like, bro.
I'm pretty positive. I'm going to make an educated guess. I don't know if this is true for sure, but I'm going to make an educated guess that I don't think that cold open would have been the Jean Ralphio thing. I think this is the cold open of Little Sebastian. I think that's where the producer's cut might have come in.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
So anyway, like you said, they had talked about a person dying, but it was little Sebastian. Oh my God, did you see that blooper, or have you seen that blooper where Chris Pratt, after she says that little Sebastian has died, Chris Pratt's like, what are they going to do with the meat? Oh my God. Chris.
Oh, Christopher.
So sacrilegious. I don't care if it was you coming out, not Andy. Although that is kind of Andy, but still.
It is, yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't.
And Ron is so moved and so sad. And I have a fun fact about this. Like, apparently everyone was super sad, like emotional. They were all acting like Ron, basically. Like, they were all very, very upset or acting very upset about little Sebastian. And Dan on the set, our writer, was like, we can't do that. We need there to be like some levity here. It can't be so devastated. So Ron can be devastated. That can be his thing where everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's really upset. But everyone else
impacts you more if Ron's upset.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I think they didn't want it to be as dark as it was. You know what I mean? And so they kind of had everybody say, like, well, Mike Schur on the commentary was like, this is, I mean, it's very sad, but it's also not like a human that we know. So it is a horse that, which I was like, Mike Schur, are you saying, don't say that in front of Ron?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But basically they were just like, don't make it so heartbreaking because this isn't gonna bode well for the entire episode. So like they're all sad, but they're not as devastated. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting how, like, that was kind of a change. Like, everybody was sad, but not like Ron.
Yeah. I love his, like, half-mast is too high.
I know. Show some goddamn respect.
Yeah.
So they're going to throw a memorial service for him, but then they want to bow our heads in a moment of silence first.
This is one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of the show, solely because of the song choice.
Yes.
It's perfect.
It's so perfect. Andy's dancing along, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Leslie has to like intervene. She's like, no, I got it. 'Cause she's like, just get out. You ruined our moment of silence.
It's so perfect. So for those of you who don't remember, but you will, if you haven't watched the episode in a while, a janitor comes in during this moment of silence, and Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain comes on. And it's just, this janitor has no sense of what they're doing, and it's just like kills the moment. Yeah. Side note, did you read that this was based on a real event?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Like,
this happened
lightly.
in the writer's room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they talked about it a little bit in the commentary, and I think Alan Yang mentioned it as well. But basically, they were stuck in the writer's room. You know, you hear all the stories about the writer's rooms about like you're stuck in there, you're trying to break the story, you don't know what's happening, you've been eating like stale food for a bajillion years. There's like you haven't been outside, you're just trying to crack this story, and your brain is like totally fried and empty. And people were getting very like frustrated and like snapping at each other almost, like not snapping like I'm mad at you, but more of like I don't know what to do, like what you know. Yeah. And their whole mindset was just not right, and everybody was kind of just like in their own space. And then this janitor came in and played, and that song was I think it was that very song. I think I'm gonna pretend it's that very song. Yeah. I think that's what he said, but nobody wanted to laugh. But this guy just broke the tension that was happening in that room, and everyone started laughing, and that's what kind of propelled the episode into continuing being written, is that they could have this funny story and then they broke it. It's just so wild. Yeah.
It lightens the darkness too, you know, because even though you're sitting there and you're like,
definitely,
oh, this is really sad, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, totally.
So, I had to think though, it's interesting to me. I don't know how every place operates, but every place I've worked, the janitors have come in after everybody leaves for the day.
Yeah.
So it is interesting that he's there in the morning.
Right. Yes, totally. They did say in the actual event, they were there at like 1 a.m. or something like crazy. So like that,
I figured.
In real life, it was like that. But yeah, in the show, he was there in the morning time. I think, and we'll have to think about this later, but I think this janitor comes back when Ron and Leslie are locked in the parks department when they're in their fight. And I think they try to like grab him because he's across the courtyard, and they're like, "Guy, come here." Yeah. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be the same guy.
I couldn't find this guy on IMDb. I was so upset.
Oh.
I wanted to reach out to him, but good job wherever you are. If you are that guy or you know that guy, let me know.
It was great.
Okay, so now Leslie has this talking head and said, you know, you really take stock of your life when some person or horse passes. And I just think, again, building on the bubble, they're being flirty in public, okay? They're bound to get caught. I'm sorry. Like, it is funny when Ron catches them later. I was always like, whatever, like, it'll be fine. It's just cute to watch them flirt. But now, like, looking at it, analyzing it, I'm like, yeah, they're going to get caught.
y'all being dumb. And I have a lot of thoughts later where I'm just like, oh, you guys are so stupid.
I know. Oh, my God.
Yeah, just so stupid.
So stupid. Well, now I'm at the shoe shine stand if you are.
Yes.
Okay. So this montage passes, like while Leslie's doing her voiceover, and I guess 3 weeks pass by quickly because he's back at the shoe shine stand. Like, remember he's supposed to be doing the digitizing for 3 weeks, which I get it. Okay. Next episode, but still. Yeah. And then like Jeff said in his voice memo, he's never got to come back, which was very sad, but that's okay. He'll live on forever in our hearts.
Yeah. Well, cause Andy isn't at the shoe shine stand much longer.
Right.
You know? So they could have brought him back.
Yeah. It's okay. I love that Donna is with her Mercedes. Like, that's the thing that she takes stock of.
Yes.
And Tom is actually making a business plan. I really appreciated that. I was so proud of him.
I think it's the first time we maybe see him put real effort. Like, is he actually ever doing work at that computer? He's usually looking up gossip sites or on his HoosierMates.com thing.
Right.
So it's really cool. I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. I paused it on this thing when they have the business plan, because I was like, what actually did they say? Is someone writing this? This is where you get into the not niche at all, and they are literally trying to cover every single thing that they can possibly think of. I have to read it to you. It is so
Yes,
funny.
please.
Okay, it's kind of long, so strap in. From marketing to filmography to special event planning to live action entertainment to meal planning to child star training to prom planning to celebration services to commercial space remodeling to spotlight rental to theater curtains to theater something that I couldn't read cleaning to actor and singer booking to open air acrobatic choreography to trust fund advisement to equipment rental, to livestock training and counseling, we're prepared to learn about any skill needed to make your event a successful one.
And counseling? What the
And livestock training gets me every time.
Oh my gosh.
That is just so funny. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, it was too many things to be focusing on after the fourth one.
And no
then
one
you just
knows,
kept going.
like, so what do you do? I think that is such a great detail for when we get into later, where Leslie is kind of like when they're eating waffles after the end of the world thing or whatever it was, where he's broke. Or no, not the end of the world thing. When he takes over her campaign, like trying to get the money. But anyway, it's just like, oh my God. He also is listed in the personnel, so he must be doing it to some capacity, because remember, he was like, I can't be a part of this. So it's like his name and Jean Ralphio are listed. So maybe he just was getting everything together for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think you still take some sort of credit by putting together the business plan, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's a great detail.
yes. Good job, guys. All the effort that went into that.
Love that. So now Ben is coming into Anne's office because it's their meeting point, Leslie and Ben's meeting point, to basically hang out. And I don't know, I felt like if I was Anne, I'd be really torn between like, Leslie, do you have to come to my office 40 times a day? Like, can you do it on my off days? You know that I'm not here half the time.
Right. Well, and I think as your Anne, I would want you to be able to be with your person. But I also probably would have told you 500 times by now that this was not a good place. My office has lots of windows.
Yeah, that's true too.
The door has a fucking window.
Oh my God, they're so dumb.
Like, you know, I probably would have been like, this is probably not the best place for you guys to meet anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense for you to meet here. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
They're being stupid.
They're just being stupid. And yeah, and I agree with you in that point, like where I'm like, it could be very annoying. You're trying to get work done and they're there all the time.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah. We're getting a little brief glimpse here though of Anne and Ben, because we don't really see a lot of interaction between them.
Definitely.
So this is a little snippet.
And it's super awkward. It's super
very
like
awkward.
It's super evident that the only reason that they would ever talk is because of Leslie.
Absolutely.
Which, like, that's happens sometimes, I suppose. But I would, and this is also obviously before, but it like nothing changes. You know what I mean? Like, this is before they start actually dating. But I feel like if they were, once they actually do start dating for reals in public and like whatever, I feel like they should hang out together, or like maybe they would go to dinner sometimes. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I think yes. There's definitely some weirdness here.
I have qualms like later in the series, which I'll get to. I have qualms with some of, like, I hate saying this because I love them so much, but the way they write Anne's character later in the season is very strange to me. Like, her arc doesn't make sense to me. I love her, but it's like, and I love them, but it doesn't make sense.
I have the same.
So, like, there's
wait to
one,
get there.
and I don't mean to go on a tangent, but just like one little episode when the episode right before, so okay, how do I explain this? Basically, she meets Ron's stepkids, and she's like, I'm weird with kids. Next episode, she's like, I want a baby.
Kid. Yes.
What the fuck?
I'm 100% with. I literally, we were just watching these episodes, and I'm sitting there with Ivan in the next episode. She's like, I want to have a kid. I'm like, was she not in the last episode just saying she's awkward with kids?
And then her having to be with Chris like seemed to me like such a stretch to like because of how they talked about them not. I mean, again, it's like growth. I get it, and also they wanted a way to write them both off the show, but like I don't know, dude. It's just it was a stretch.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. All right.
Thoughts
anyway.
and feelings. Side note, I think I did tell you before that this is the episode of outfits that I love. Mm-hmm. And I loved the purples that Jean Ralphio and Tom were wearing. But then also Anne. Sorry, I just looked this up so I could remind you. I love this outfit.
I love that outfit.
I absolutely love it.
I love a cardigan.
So great. Yeah, oh, me too. And I just think the color looks so great with her skin tone and her eyes and her hair. And I just love it.
Yeah, I do too. It's very professional, very health department-y.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Great job, wardrobe people.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So they're meeting. Oh, they realize that Anne, it's just Anne because Stuart moved down the hall. So that's nice. Because, what did I wrote? Oh, I love this thing when she says, you don't have to pretend. Like, you don't have to pretend that you want to talk to me. Like, I get it, that this is your place. But also, I like that line of, well, I'm also curious how it's going.
Yeah.
Like that Ben says that.
Right. That he's like trying to be a human too.
Right, exactly.
So,
and then she gives a note from Leslie to Ben, and it's so high school. They're so smitten. Oh my god, it's like so precious. Ben laughs because because Leslie did a drawing
of a kiss monster.
Oh my gosh, it's very precious.
I love Anne's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know Rashida did a great job with those.
She
readings.
really, really did. Yeah.
It is really cute, though, like this subtle nod to the type of the relationship that they have / will have, that like they don't do anything in the office sexually because Anne's like, please don't do anything on my desk or around my area. And they're like, we just like to hold hands and work together.
That's somehow worse.
Oh my God. That's so funny. They have windows. I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah. It's a little nod. They're being a little bit more modest than The Office when Dwight and Angela are just straight up having
that's true
sex on people's desks and stuff.
Oh my God.
So yeah, they tamed it down for this. But
yes.
I also have to say this is exactly how I pictured Anne's desk to look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not like Leslie's where it's overflowing with paperwork. Like hers is very organized and straight, and everything's in a place. And
love that.
So.
I like that.
Yeah.
I remember in the last episode, she was like sharpening her pencils too, which was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
But also like get a mechanical pencil. They're better.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Or as an adult, I feel like I don't use pencils anymore.
I know. Same. And it's really sad because I love a pencil.
I do too.
I have pencils like, on my desk right here, but then I have to like get a sharpener or, it smudges sometimes. Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah, or it just doesn't like, I can't use pencil on professional documents. It doesn't look professional.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yep, someone can erase it.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're doing a meeting, and Ron's very moving moment about making this like the Super Bowl halftime show, but also the budget is $600. I love that line.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And Super Bowl just happened, so that's very timely.
It is very timely. Also,
oh my God.
I don't think the artists get paid for Super Bowl.
That's what I heard. I heard that too.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Well, I'm not saying the budget is zero then, because it's not, because of the pyrotechnics and the stages and all the shit.
Yeah,
but
if they don't get
it's
paid, I guess they just do
exposure.
it for publicity. But Rihanna doesn't need publicity.
No, but I think it's the fact of like, hey, yo, I did a Super Bowl halftime show.
She already did one.
She did?
Yeah, she did one before. This is her second time.
Oh, I didn't realize she did one before.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
also,
I don't really know.
Did you see that article that people are stupid. It's not really worth mentioning, but there was an and I say article because there was a snapshot of an article posted on Instagram, so it's not like I'm reading the article. But people were saying that it was like really obscene, and I was like, she was fully clothed. What are you talking about?
What was obscene about it?
I think
all of her dancers were dressed like that too.
I know. I think they were talking about like the dance movements, and I'm just like, so you're going to complain about every Super Bowl then? Because literally every single person has had that kind of dance. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a
stupid.
Thing.
It's just because she's a woman. That's it.
Yeah, we're not going to make anybody happy.
Nope.
Well, everybody happy, I should say. You're never going to make everybody happy.
Correct. Yes. Ugh, dumb. All right. So. Okay, so now Leslie is saying all these tasks. She needs Andy to write a memorial song, something like Candle in the Wind, but 5,000 times better.
Yes.
I love it.
In case people don't know, Candle in the Wind is Elton John.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. If you don't know that, stop this podcast and go listen to that. Okay. The moment of April sticking up for Andy means so much more now that we talked about their fight last week.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really think about it that way until rewatching it.
Yeah. That he felt not supported, and now she's like, no, he needs this much money, and she's like, well, we can pay him $50.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
good for you. I'm not good at that, Holly. Like if anybody asks me, hey, can you come play at this, or hey, can you do this? I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to. I'm shit at being like, actually, it's going to be $50.
Yeah. Oof. I think that just comes with practice and doing it for a long time, because once you do it for so long without being paid, like it's just.
And most people don't blink an eye at it. They understand that they'll probably have to pay something, but it's
providing
all
a
in
service.
Here. It's all in here.
I mean, it's really cultural too. I mean, like we don't look at art and music and just anything artistic as like an actual service that we are being provided, like you would, an accountant or whatever.
Right.
But it is.
Yes, it is. It brings you joy.
Yeah. It's because it's a mental service most of the time. You know what I mean? It's not like tangible a lot of the times. So
yeah,
that's a whole other freaking podcast. Stupid, hate it.
Yes, it is.
Anyways. All right. So now she hands out a memo with facts about Lil Sebastian. Ben's supposed to have something interesting on his, but it accidentally gets handed to Jerry. And this is where we have the cube butt situation.
Can I also just say that this is another red flag that she's not being careful enough?
Totally.
Because I put myself in that situation, and I'm checking that paper 5 million times before I set it in front of Ben.
Oh my God. That's why I thought it was weird too, because if it was like on the actual paper, wouldn't you look at it before you hand it to him?
Yes.
Like
you should.
Leslie.
Yeah, it's just she's getting sloppy.
I know. They've both been sloppy the whole freaking time.
But this is pretty bad.
This is pretty bad.
She has to throw Jerry down the tunnel to get out of this, which I feel shitty about.
I know.
It's cute, but
it is really funny though. Also, that like that isn't funny. Like cute butt isn't funny, but they just love making fun of Jerry.
Yeah. Well, and that shifts over to. That shifts their attention away from this Leslie situation.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, I wouldn't have been skewed by that. If you look at Ron, you know he knows.
Oh my God, Maddie, I'm so glad. That was my next note, because I didn't know that until they said it in the commentary.
Oh, see. Oh, okay. So I caught it I've never caught it before, but I caught it this time because I knew what was coming, obviously. And so I was sitting there, I was like, oh my gosh, he knows, because he's not smiling. He's not interacting with anything. He's just staring Leslie down.
Yes. I went back and watched it after I watched it in the commentary, and I was like, oh my God, I totally missed that. Would never have known if someone didn't point it out to me. So yeah, those of you listening, go back and watch that moment, because it is crazy. Like Nick Offerman was giving the looks, or Ron was giving the looks, like so fed up, and like, yeah, he was like, he knows. Oh my God. Crazy.
Yeah.
I have never mind. I'm not, well, okay. Ron's mustache looks very weird and taped on, and I will explain why a little bit later. You'll get it.
Yes.
We all get it.
Yes. I also have a side that they mentioned Dante Alighieri.
Oh, yeah.
How you said it? And Jerry's going to read that poem.
Yes.
Which makes me think that he speaks Italian to a good enough level that he can read it.
Right.
So, but anyway, this person was alive from 1265 to 1321.
Oh, wow.
So, like, a long fucking time ago.
Well, yeah, seriously. I didn't look him up.
Medieval times.
Nice.
He lived to be 56, which I feel like in medieval times is not a bad age to live to.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and he was a poet and a philosopher. I didn't really write a lot more information down because I didn't really feel like it was necessarily pertinent, but I thought it was interesting that he was from that long ago.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Yeah, I guess I could see Jerry having like an Italian section in his bookcase, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an artistic, gentle soul, that one.
Oh, yeah, and everybody thinks they know him, but you don't.
Yeah, you have no idea. You know work Jerry, not home Jerry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love that, though. So I also love all the newspaper clippings behind her. Like, she has all the little Sebastian newspaper clippings, like, on the little whiteboard and stuff. I thought that was really lovely. I also loved, again, with all of these... maybe it's because I'm not analyzing The Office, so I should go back and like watch it for reals. But I feel like right now I'm seeing Parks has so many subtle looks, just like you said with Ron's, more than The Office that I've been seeing, because you're really just in this world and you're not acting. They're not really acting. They're just like the documentary crew is just catching these moments, and you can totally see Adam Scott's performance, much like Ron's, where he's just like so freaked out and nervous, and but like he doesn't really show it, but there's like a hint of it where you're like, oh my god, he's panicking. He's like, what do I do? What do I do? So he says cube butt because he's like panicked and freaked out and like, oh my god, you know?
Yeah,
I thought that was so interesting.
He's delving down to that level of making fun of Jerry. I think also in The Office, when there are looks, there's a very intentional pan from the camera.
Maybe that's what it is.
Like when Jim does those facial expressions and stuff. Yeah, the camera's on him. Very occasionally, I think a little bit later in the series, it'll be like a big shot of the whole office, and you can see Jim making faces. Yeah, but I would say the majority of the time, they're bringing attention to it. Whereas I feel like in Parks and Rec, they don't necessarily do that. They do it occasionally, because I definitely can picture in my head sometimes where they like look at Chris or like that to get reactions, but it seems a little less in Parks and Rec to me. Yeah, and I remember like I can pinpoint a lot of times when like Creed has really interesting like looks where because obviously he's kind of crazy, but like still I see like subtle looks from him, but yeah, it's interesting. So I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I just loved Adam Scott's performance of that, and then Dr. Harris comes back because we love Dr. Harris.
We love Dr. Harris. Go back and listen to his episode. I'll link it in the show notes. We love him. Yeah, he was so cool. Oh, he was great, and so not Dr. Harris, which I love saying.
So not, yeah, he was a good time.
But he tells Chris that he has tendinitis and that it could have been worse. It could have been shoulder cancer.
That's such a dick move.
It's so mean.
It's so mean.
Oh my god.
There's no cure.
Oh my god. Yeah, the cure would be to get a time machine, go back to when you were 20.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's a great line.
Dr. Harris, you are literally the meanest person I've ever met.
Yes. Oh my god. So good. Cooper Thornton is amazing. He is the one that plays Dr. Harris.
My favorite line from him is still, "You're welcome."
You're welcome. Oh my god. But this sends Chris into a spiral because he's like, what? And also, I know that tendinitis has been talked about a lot, but now that I'm working out like more and lifting heavier stuff, I was like, what actually is tendinitis? So for those of you that don't know, it's an inflammation of any tendon surrounding a muscle. And I didn't know that tendons are thick, fibrous cords that attach the muscle to the bone. The body's crazy.
The body is crazy. It's insane.
And basically,
all of it.
You said what?
I said it is insane. All of it.
Literally. I mean, it's crazy. But basically, Dr. Harris says this is usually caused by overworking out. You know what I mean? Like overuse or just it's getting irritated. And
Which Chris does.
He says he did what, like 1,000 or whatever push-ups?
He'd rather do 500 with a beautiful woman on his back.
Oh my god, so dumb. For resistance, obviously.
Yes.
Oh god. Well, Tom comes in. Before Tom comes in, Ben has this tone. So it's Ben, Leslie, and Ron. Ben has a tone about the horse funeral as if it doesn't matter and it's stupid. Ben. Get it together.
Ron's not happy about it.
No.
And then he says, I'm very sad.
I'm very sad.
Yeah.
And then Tom comes in and says that Entertainment 720 can put the whole show on just for the pub, which is publicity, pro bono. And then I like that Ron hates Jean Ralphio. Like I mean, Ron and Donna are basically like, I'm over Jean Ralphio. And he's like, Jean Ralphio's a clown. We need this to be serious, okay? But Tom is going to oversee everything, so it'll be fine. And again, I would not have known about this subtle look if it wasn't for the commentary. But Leslie, which is so weird because when I went back and watched it after the commentary, like the camera actually pans to Leslie and you see her. But basically she gives a look to Ron, like, saying, let's do this. Like, let's let him do it. And in the commentary, they like kind of equated it to like the parents saying like, you could like letting the kid borrow the car kind of thing. I was like, oh my God, that is so precious. I don't know what was wrong with my brain. I think I was just like so used to watching this episode just like
there's also just so much happening in this episode.
So much happening.
Like, I think I caught these little subtle ones like on my last time through.
Yeah.
The little looks. But
it's so special.
It is really special. And I think that there's this beauty in the fact that Leslie doesn't say it. She has Ron say it.
Yeah.
Because people don't respect him as the boss, right? But they have respect for him. And I think it means more for Ron to show he has trust in Tom.
That's true.
So I really liked that.
Yeah.
I also would love to know why he didn't Photoshop the penis off of Lil Sebastian. It's so large.
I love Ben's. Why don't you just Photoshop that out?
Yeah.
I could totally see Ron seeing that as like a display of manhood or something.
Yeah.
And we can't cut that out because that's important.
Oh, so stupid.
Oh my God. Well, now Anne and Chris are having a conversation. I love that Anne kind of looks up and sees Chris and tries to turn away, but then she can't. It's too late. Great subtlety there. And to me anyway. And then Chris says he's dying after Anne asks how he is. But then Anne finds out that it's just tendinitis. And then Chris didn't know apparently that Lil Sebastian has died.
How?
I guess he wasn't at that meeting and he's been so focused on himself and his tendinitis and his shoulder pain that he hasn't been thinking about it or listening to anyone else. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like something the whole town probably would know pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, he is very much in the Chris world now. So it very well could be that.
Death is inescapable.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't. I don't have his chart in front of me.
Oh my God. They did a great job. I mean, I think Rob Lowe did a wonderful job with his facial expressions and really acting this. But like, I don't know if makeup did a great job or what happened, but like you can tell that he's tired. His face doesn't look as put together and he's like so stressed out. And he's just like equating Lil Sebastian's death with his death. And now he's asking for the chart. Like, oh my God. Anne makes a joke about having the chart. It's just like crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But poor little Chris. He's going through it.
Yeah.
So now Leslie's getting ready to meet Ben in Anne's office. And she's getting all cutesied up. And she looks precious. I love this.
I love this outfit too. This is another one of my favorites. She changes her hair. Here's my question, though. Does she really think nobody's going to notice that she changed and ask why she changed in the middle of the day? This is not typical Leslie. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be less questionable for her to fall asleep at her desk and come to work in the same clothes the next day.
Yeah, interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like, this, again, we're not being very careful.
Nope. I love the sophisticated with a hint of slutty. That's like totally my vibe. I like that. That's what I would do. I also, speaking of that, I have it. It's not the same. Like I have a very similar dress to that, but mine is like blue with white polka dots. But hers is not polka dots. I feel like it's flowers or
I think it is
something
polka dots.
like that.
Sorry, I was playing it to.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn does that too.
I love it because I love it is polka dots.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you know what they are? They look this looks like a dress that I have from Ann Taylor, but mine's long sleeved. So it looks kind of like the polka dots are chalk. Not like solid polka dots.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So cute hair too. She always wears her hair down, so I love that she has it pulled up.
Cute and
it's
like
very cute.
Lipstick and super precious.
Yeah.
I love too that after Leslie says, like, I'm looking at my life and it's almost perfect, that Anne's like really happy and she's like, I'm really excited to see you so happy about a guy. That's really nice. Little friendship moment.
Yeah. And then it gets twisted a little bit.
I know. And then Leslie just does her thing. Oh God, it's so relatable to me. I really have to like be very conscious of that. But sometimes like I, you know what I mean? Like she is talking about the whole Chris thing, and then Leslie's like, oh, I just don't want to talk about Chris. Like, it just gets me so bummed out because his rule, I can't be with Ben, but also how he hurt you. Oops.
Yeah. Also,
and Anne's like, yep, there you go.
Yeah. Let's reframe that.
But I feel love that Anne like gives her a look. Like, are you really talking about that?
Yeah, Anne does definitely give her a look.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I feel like I mean, I can't think of times recently where I've been like, she just talked over what I wanted to talk about. or anything
Okay.
like that.
That's
But
good.
there was a time, and I wasn't bothered by it at all, but you checked. You were like, hey, if you don't need to be talking about this right now,
Yeah.
like, you just tell me. And like, I appreciate, even though I was like in a place where I was definitely okay to be talking about it,
Yeah.
I was like, I really appreciate that she put the thought in to think that I might not be.
Yeah.
Like, so
okay.
you're at least being cognizant of it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
That's
I didn't
what I
have
try
to
to
give you a
do.
look.
What's
You
that?
know, I didn't have to give you a look.
Okay.
Leslie needed a look.
Plus, it's harder because it's most of the time our chatting is via text.
Yeah.
And now I'm glad that you told me that you feel like everybody's mad at you when they don't put emojis, and then I told you that I don't put emojis in my stuff anymore. Really?
Yeah, because now I don't take any of your texts as like, oh my gosh, she's mad
Like
at
mad.
me.
Yeah.
Or she's not excited to be talking to me. 'Cause
I
that's
know.
what my brain does.
Yeah, and I sometimes will do that too, and then I have to check myself, and I'm like, wait a second. So I'm going to now just assume that there's like an exclamation point or a smiley face after every message that somebody sends to me, because it's just like and if that's not the case, if I can tell that something's different, then like, okay. But
Yeah.
for the most part, people are just like texting because they're like, okay, whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway,
all
but
a thing.
Anne definitely has this moment when she's like, she says she's generally happy because, and that is another part where Leslie does check herself, and she's like, but how are you? And turns, the conversation back to her. But Anne / Rashida does a really good job of being like, I think the audience can kind of tell, like, I'm kind of bummed, but I'm mostly happy. Like,
Yeah, I've been worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because I could see that, how Chris would throw her off,
Mm-hmm. I feel like she also doesn't want to rain on Leslie's parade right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I get that vibe from her that like, now isn't the time for me to bring up what I'm struggling with. She's going off to Ben, and if we start this conversation now, I really want to be heard, and now's not the time.
Maybe.
Like, Leslie's not in a place to
Yeah, to hear.
Yeah, which is fair. I think everybody has those moments where, they're like, okay, this is a conversation I really do want to have with this person, and I want to be fully here, and just right now isn't the time. And so if I can wait, I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, so now Leslie's going into Ron's office, and or not Ron's office, Anne's office rather, to see Ron waiting. But I also love that before she goes in, she like adjusts her boobs. It's it's so funny. Apparently that had to be cut. That little moment on the commentary, they said they cut that because it needed to be tighter.
So
that
that's
whole,
the
like,
producer stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of that, like, of her pausing before she goes in, getting ready, getting like centered, and then her like running into Ron, like a lot of that was like way tighter. It was more of like she leaves her office and goes straight to Ron and that it makes a huge difference, weirdly. Like,
It does.
that small little moment, but what are you going to do? So,
Yeah. Makes it seem less staged.
yeah, totally. So then we have this jump scare. Ron's in there, and asks straight up, how long have you been sleeping with Ben?
He's terrible face-wise.
He's terrible.
I love that
face-wise.
line.
I do too. My favorite line right now, anyway, is, how do I know, frankly, that you're not sleeping with him?
Yeah. Just why?
I've never had sex with anyone anywhere. That's disgusting and wrong.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
For those of you who wondering if she improv'd any of this was all scripted. But she was really good, and they kept on the commentary, kept complimenting her acting and saying that like one of her favorite this was like one of the favoriteest things, like you said earlier, that like scenes between Ron and Leslie. And Ron not really saying anything at all.
Yeah.
And it was really nice too. Mike Schur said that, I think this is great because when Ben comes in and overcorrects kind of in this similar way, Mike Schur was like, this is a really nice way for them to be shown that they are the same kind of dork. And I was like, that's a great way of putting it.
I love that. I really, really do. Because he comes in and he's just as flabbergasted and is just as trying to come up with the same
Yeah.
kind
Do you
of
have
stuff
that? Do you
as
have that
Leslie.
thing? Like, do you have it? Oh,
Yeah.
God.
What I don't get is like, did he not see, like, and I don't know if it's an angle thing and I'm just reading into it, but did he not see that she was talking to someone and didn't necessarily look happy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And read that? Because he immediately goes in to like touch her.
Yeah, yeah. I would imagine that he didn't see Ron, and so maybe he assumed it was Anne, or he just wasn't thinking. I don't think he was
He's just
thinking.
excited to see her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then he plays this. Ron plays this voice message of them making out as political people, and I think that is again They're the same kind of dork. Finding that sexy.
It's so gross to me.
Really?
I'm so sorry. I think it's so cute for them.
For them.
But it
not
grosses
for you.
me out.
It's not for her. Yeah, I get it.
I'm like, what is the voices and this would not turn me on at all.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So I looked up all these people, not all these people. I don't know why I looked it up, but basically I think it was on the commentary. So these names weren't all the same names that were in the shooting draft or in the original script. So Maggie Thatcher and Reagan were the ones that they ended up with, but they were going to do Geraldine Ferraro and Walter Mondale. And I was like, first of all, I'm glad they changed it because I had no idea who those people are. Number one.
Yeah.
But number two, the main reason they changed it is because Geraldine Ferraro died while they were filming. So they had to change it. And that's wild. So Geraldine Ferraro was the vice presidential nominee in 1984, and she ran with Walter Mondale. So that would be like the romantic thing. They weren't romantic in real life, but like that would be, what Ben and Leslie.
The fantasy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She's from Massachusetts, Geraldine Ferraro. Aww. Side note, and she served in the House of Representatives. So, shouts to her, rest in peace. But I did know Maggie Thatcher and Reagan. So I'm just like, that's fine. That makes sense more for me. But maybe people that, older generations would have liked the other names.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she finally gives up and is like, okay, how long have you known? And yeah, again, Ron's face is the whole, not even saying anything throughout this whole thing. And Ron is like, look, if this gets out, you'll be fired. And I can't save you from that. And Leslie is like, well, we're being very careful. And everybody, especially Ron and us, are like, are you though? And really Ron proves the point by playing more of the message that was butt dialed as they were making out certain political figures. So now Leslie and Ben have this decision to make, basically.
Yeah. This just seems so... I mean, we're going back to what I was saying at the beginning of the episode, but so just careless. Mm-hmm. Because if I put myself in this situation, and I haven't been, and nor will I be, and because I'm already married, but if I was in a relationship with someone I worked with and I wasn't allowed to be, I would be as far away from that person as possible at work.
Yeah. I know. They're
Which
just so
sucks.
in love. They can't do it.
I know.
But they're not thinking through. That's for
No.
sure. And also, I think it's kind of an old tech alert, too, to have a butt dial. Because, that doesn't really happen now, I feel. And most people don't really put their phones in their pockets like they would, I feel. But yeah, like with iPhones and Androids, unless there's a specific button to press, like usually it's locked now. So
yeah. And unless you leave it open and, sometimes certain clothes can like move stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's true.
It's way harder.
Right.
Which is good for everyone.
Yeah. So, okay, so now we're moving on to where Andy is trying to write the memorial song for Lil Sebastian, and he's working on the song, and somehow he worked in Spread Your Wings and Fly, which, friendly reminder, this was beautiful. When Mark Rivers, Mark Rivers wrote all of these, shouts to Mark Rivers, but like the first episode that he sings in, he talks about how he has to have Spread Your Wings and Fly in any song, and he did that.
Here we are. I love that April's helping.
I know, it's very precious.
Again, I think we're seeing this. She learned what bothered Andy in that fight, and she's putting the effort in. Like, I think it's a beautiful moment. Like, and she's giving him real feedback. She's not BSing him either. She's not like, oh, it's great, and just letting it go. She's like, well, maybe we should make it have less death in it.
Right. Maybe don't use die or death or you're dead.
Yeah. Fair.
I feel like I recorded this, but I don't know if I did.
This first draft is awful, by the way.
What's that?
This first draft is awful.
Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. But anyway, so I didn't record that song, but go back and listen to it because it's so funny.
Yeah, it's great.
What does it say? I can't remember
you're
the song.
You're a champion.
Oh yeah,
little horse.
And you're dead. You're the champion of death. You're the champion of death.
I also love that Champion comes back later.
Yes!
Like they name their dog Champion. I love it.
I love that too. That's great. Oh my God.
And then he sings to him.
What?
He sings to him.
Oh yeah. And that's like same exact tone.
Yeah.
That same.
It's great.
Yeah. I was going to tell you that actually, that Alan Yang says that he sings that later with the dog Champion. And he says that Champion was based on a dog that Alan Yang used to have named Fenway.
Oh, that's
You have a dog named Fenway.
Yeah.
So ironic.
That's so funny.
Because
I
Alan
love
Yang
it.
went to Harvard, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So Boston. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now Ben and Leslie are at the event space for Little Sebastian's memorial setting up. And they're like, okay, no more fooling around at work. No more doing this. But then Ben is stupid and says, well, a situation could arise where I hug you.
No, Ben.
Professionally.
No, Ben. No.
Nope.
Bad idea.
Inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine? Like, no, I'm not hugging my boss. Gross.
No.
Or even like, I don't know, I barely hug my coworkers unless it's at like maybe a Christmas event. But even then, not really.
The only coworker I hug is Laura.
Yeah.
Because she was my friend before I worked there.
Right. Oh my God, Ben.
Yeah.
And then that leads to kissing. And then this maintenance guy, the same one that friendly reminder fixed the light bulb in Tom and Leslie's office and Jerry's painting, catches them and says, hey, lovebirds. Oh my God. It's too much. This guy again. Oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Did we miss a Jean Ralphio moment?
I think that comes after with the ties or like the black.
Yeah. Why do I have it as noted before?
Oh, I don't know.
That's weird.
Well, yeah, John Ralphio and Tom are picking out black colors and making fun of Jerry for not knowing the difference.
Yeah.
Which one floats your penis?
That's one of my favorite lines.
I know.
Yeah,
That's so
I love
hard. I love both of those. I love that line so much.
I really do. But that's, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to miss it. But then I was like, did we already pass this? I was so confused.
No, you're good. I think Sleeping Panther is my favorite color of black that they have listed. It was like onyx black, like
down,
Armani or something by Armani or whatever. It's so funny.
Yeah. The bottom two looked different to me.
Did they?
Yeah. There's two on the bottom that looked different, but everything else looked the same to me.
Yeah.
And I think it could have just been the fabric was different. You know how that happens
totally.
sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway.
No. These armbands also that everyone is wearing with little Sebastian's face on them, I don't like them. They remind me too much of Nazis. I'm so sorry. I hate it.
Yeah, not a fan. I like the shirts. We could
I
have just
love
done the shirts.
I want a shirt like that. They're so cute.
Yeah, the shirt was enough.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
Okay, so now I have the next scene with Chris and Anne.
I love her outfit again.
Oh, her little blazer.
Yes,
I
it
love
looks so
that.
professional, and the color. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want her wardrobe right now.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
We'll have
sorry.
to get the wardrobe people on.
Yeah,
To talk about
Yeah,
it.
I loved it. She's this moment for me. I'm really proud of Anne
Me too.
because that had to be really hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chris just wasn't as affected by their breakup or if it's just like he's just like a different person. I don't know.
I think it's a mixture. I think number one is that, yeah, he wasn't as affected. And number two, he is so self-centered right now. Not in like a, like you're less important than me way, but like he can't get past that he's going to die. And so he's really not thinking about anything else. And so when she pointed out that like, look, I can't be your friend right now because the whole girlfriend breaking up with me and me not knowing what the fuck was happening, like I can't do that. And then he's like, oh, okay, I hear you. I totally get that. But he didn't see it because she had to spell it out for him.
And I think she needed to say that.
Yeah.
And it progresses again throughout this episode, but I'm really proud of her for being like, hey, I'm just not ready to be your friend.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that she
So.
spoke up as well. I think that's really nice. And,
Yeah.
you know, Chris does take it as well as he can at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I also wanted to tell you this scene was cut. This is not one of the scenes that was in the producer's cut or that was in the airing. Sorry. This is a producer's cut scene. But I like that line. It's so like, I like it a lot. It's so stupid. I hope we can be friends before I die. So dumb.
Oh, Christopher.
Well, now Ben and Leslie are trying to bribe this maintenance worker, and he totally knows what's going on. I love his like subtle kind of like, okay, sure. Ben needs to stop trying to lie. He's like so bad at it.
Well, and they spiral here. They really, really, really snowball into awfulness because they could have just left it and hoped that he didn't say anything. He doesn't necessarily know who they are.
Right, that's true.
Or that they can't be together.
Yeah.
So they're already incriminating themselves by making it look like they shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
So there's the first problem. Then they say, your discretion. We appreciate your discretion, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should take the rest of the day off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, leave it there. Okay, step away. I think that's enough. But then she's like, oh, here's a massage thing that my mom got for you. Why? Leslie, you didn't have to fucking do that.
Right.
I don't understand. So it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled into, and then clearly saying, and thank you for your discretion.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just, they
and
made
she won
it
the
just so
MacArthur
much
Genius
worse.
Grant.
Yes, I love that. Which is real, by the way.
It is real. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big prize.
It's like 20 to 30 people a year get it or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty cool.
Oh my God.
So, there were people, I was going to look, I tried to look and see if there's anybody we would know, but there weren't.
A lot of it's like scientists and scholars and stuff that aren't necessarily, like they're making huge contributions, but not necessarily someone that
like on the front stage.
The people of randomness would know.
Yeah.
Like we would know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. This is total panic mode. They're not thinking anything through. This is just like let's cover our asses really fast, but not think about like why this is a good idea to do this.
Right.
Like you could tell they probably didn't even really think about talking. They didn't talk it through before they went up to him. They were like, okay, let's go just like.
Oh, absolutely not.
Let's just like go say something really
They had
fast
no
to
plan.
him so that we don't get this.
Yeah.
But okay, Biff Yeager, side note, the guy that played this, he also is going to come back in the trial of Leslie Knope, as we know, because they do find out and has this. Chris does have this witness, but he sent in a voice memo, and I was so excited. So I'm going to play this. I actually haven't listened to it yet, so yeah, let's just see what Biff has to say. This is the maintenance worker, by the way.
How did I get the job on Parks? Oh boy, I don't really remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember the audition at all. I know that first one was replacing the light bulb in the office. I think there may have been 1 or 2 lines. I'm not really sure. A little bit about that later on. Now, let me go to the next question. Working with Amy and Adam was fun. I mean, they're good people. A day player. You work 1 or 2 days. You're just a day player, and they're of course the stars of the show. But very open and welcoming, very good. I really enjoyed working with them. It was a good set. The crew and all were good people. Oh, and and that courtroom scene where I say my face was glowing when I got a facial. Yeah, I enjoyed that too. There was something in that scene. I remember between takes. I don't remember the actor's name or the character's name, but the crazy guy married to another character on the show. He ran back and forth across the top of the chairs in the courtroom. I thought he was going to fall and break his neck. He was a little crazy there. It was kind of fun. I didn't know I was going to get called back for another episode. I was very happy to. I guess it was 3 episodes that I did. Very nice. I also got called in to do some dubbing because I guess 1 or 2 of the lines didn't come out too well. And Amy was doing the dubbing at the same time. We met on the way to the dubbing room and talked a little bit going in. Very pleasant, very easy to talk to. Very nice lady. I enjoyed her quite a bit. And we went in, did the lines, and we're out quick. So all in all, it was really a fun show to do, and I'm glad that they had me do it. I hope that answered a lot of questions, or some questions anyhow. And nice to know that there's a lot of fans out there that enjoy the show and enjoy the work. Thank you.
That was so
what
special.
A sweetheart.
I know. And he's been in so many things. So, I mean, obviously he's not going to remember everything. But what was funny, I have a funny behind the scenes moment of our behind the scenes moments. I messaged him first and he was like, I don't really remember anything. Like, I'm sorry. And then I sent him like some more questions, like saying like, we really liked this scene and that scene and this scene. And then he responded back and was like, oh, okay, it's starting to come back to me. Like, okay, I'll get something together. And it really reminded me of when, cause he basically was like, oh, I didn't know that, like, I didn't know about all those scenes until you said it. And I was like, I knew. And I really thought about Leslie, like when she's at the bowling place and she's like,
100%.
I didn't know you liked wings. I knew. So I was like, thank you so much. Love you.
Yeah.
But thank you, Biff, for sending that in. That was really sweet. I love hearing that kind of stuff.
And I definitely think it was Andy who was on the chairs.
Oh, yeah, totally. That must have been a
That's the
deleted
only
scene.
person it would fit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that this event is actually happening, Leslie is making this speech. I paused to take notes, and the Lil Sebastian thing totally looks superimposed, like VFX onto the screen. I don't think it is. Like, it just looked like, it didn't look like a real sign, because, like, there's later shots of it where it looks real, but I just can't tell.
Yeah.
It doesn't look real to me, but I don't know. I don't know who to ask about that, so
yeah,
it's fine.
Props.
Yeah, I'll find a props person maybe. Let's see. Okay, they mentioned that this whole thing was nicer than any funeral they've ever been to. I think they said this on the commentary. It's just so true.
Yeah.
They put a lot of work into it, and it's really funny because I didn't think about this before they mentioned it on the commentary, but it's a great point that at first they only had $600 as a budget, but now that Entertainment 720 is doing everything, they're using his trust fund stuff to get all of these other like special effects and the fire and the this and the that.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting because I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love this line. Sebastian may have been lull, but his impact on this town and the Parks Department was anything but lull.
So good.
And then this is where Ladybug and Coconut come out, and Tom's being a stage manager, which is really cool to see him do. Yeah. And I love this, like, award ceremony type music. I love that.
Yes, it's very award ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Da, 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 da,
yes.
Da, da. Yeah.
Totally. Coconut was also a lover. On the first time we broke down Lil Sebastian at Harvest Festival, we talked about this actually, but the thing where Coconut took a dump on stage, says Tom, was an actual real thing. That was not scripted. That horse playing Coconut actually did that, and then they just wrote it into the show, and they just kind of kept playing with it. And it was really funny because Tom says it on his walkie, but that was kind of mimicking what everybody was, like, all the crew were doing on their end, like behind the cameras. They were all on their walkies being like, oh my God, what do we do?
Right. That's so funny.
So funny.
I love it.
Apparently Morgan Sackett, a producer on the show, was the one that had the idea for the crane to cover these shots of the stage and the audience, because it's like Harvest Festival, where it's like they're doing a whole pan out situation, so you can really see the whole scope of the show. It's kind of wild.
It is, yeah, a little above budget for what seems to be a documentary.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they kind of blur the line when they do these big events like that.
Yeah, that's okay. We're here for it.
Okay, so we find out now that their lies are catching up with them because the maintenance worker bailed, so now Leslie has to cover. And the fuel for the Eternal Flame is not there because of the maintenance worker not having it, so Leslie asks Jerry to do it, and it's sad because Jerry was going to read a poem. And then she guilts Jerry basically into getting the propane. I'll do it for little Sebastian.
This all could have been fixed if they had just sent Donna to get the propane.
I know. Why didn't they send somebody else?
Yeah.
I also could imagine
unnecessary.
Yeah. And that whole line that Leslie has, I could imagine that being a hard line to say. The whole, like, Councilman Hauser's filling in for this person, and this person's filling in for that person, and this person, blah, blah, blah. It was like such a tongue twister, I feel.
Yeah. That's the most backwards way to fix that. Although if we think about it, Leslie's typically a very efficient person, and I think she's just a little too flabbergasted by her personal life right now to be making some well thought out decisions.
Yeah, I agree.
So that checks out.
Yeah, it's pure panic mode.
Yes.
Then we see the video presentation. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just love this line. Your eyes are about to piss tears.
Oh my God.
So gross.
So gross. Donna's so over him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're nasty.
You nasty. Yeah, so the video presentation is happening. And then Tom puts on a British accent for the voiceover. I love that. It's so
it was a nice
silly.
touch. I really like this whole thing. I mean, I could have done without the stock footage. There's got to be enough footage of little Sebastian out there, like, and the town you could have had people from the town send in what they got from the Harvard Festival or whatever. So I could have done without the stock footage of like the sky and shit, but I thought it was nice.
Yes, it's funny. The music behind that one was really lovely too. I know. I want to know who put that whole thing together. That would have been so funny to do. Yeah. And apparently this was Aziz's idea to do a British accent, because I think they were just going to have him do the regular, like his regular voice. And then he was like, what if I tried to make it more posh or like more sentimental or whatever? I think that's great. And then Chris is like weeping over this.
Bawling his eyes out. And Anne is just such a good person. She's just like what? What's happening? But she also feels bad for him, you know, like it's gonna overtake her inability to be his friend. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like she can't just let it keep going.
Yeah. Well, so now Jean Ralphio is saying to take the leap and join the company. Live your life like that horse in the video. He was a cow.
The cow in that video.
Live like your cow.
Yeah, because he followed his dreams. Yeah. I have that whole thing highlighted. I love that entire little segment.
Oh my God, so funny. Well, he had such crazy lines this time. Like, float your penis, piss tears.
Piss your tears, yeah.
Because he followed his dreams. Gosh. Oh my God, that's so funny. Interestingly, during this whole thing, there's a monitor over Tom's shoulder, like showing the video. And apparently in the editing, they made it seem like the presentation was happening at the same time, but that like wasn't how it actually was filmed. And they did this kind of for time purposes, because I think they were going to show the whole memorial and then have that be a separate thing, like that scene be a separate thing between Jean Ralphio and Tom, but then for time purposes. I thought that was great though. It made it seem like
it was really well done.
And it was very natural. That's totally what would happen in real life. So I thought that was great.
You don't question it at all. Yeah. Well done.
Let's see. Okay, so so Ben's freaking out trying to get and Leslie's freaking out trying to get everything covered because the presentation is over. I love this so much where Leslie says to buy merch, and it's going to Lil Sebastian's favorite charity, which is the Afghan Institute of Learning.
I want to know how they chose this. It's real.
It is real.
I did some. I mean, I don't think it's doing very well right now because of how shit has hit the fan.
Yeah,
but
they said that it was the original charity was Planned Parenthood, and then apparently Amy just riffed a bunch of random charities that she knew, and I don't know if it was just Amy Poehler or if like maybe they were shouting ideas at her, but basically she was just going like on a riff moment of saying a bunch of different charities.
Okay, so it wasn't like an intentional one they chose. It was one that they liked that she said.
Yes.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. For people who don't know, it is a charity that helps teach women and give women the chance to be educated, specifically in Middle Eastern countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote down their mission statement. It's so cool. To provide women and children with education, healthcare, health education, teacher training, workshops in peace and leadership, and legal aid, to create a healthier and better educated population with greater capacity to build a self-sustaining, self-reliant Afghanistan.
Afghanistan specifically. Sorry, I couldn't remember if it was specifically one country or a region. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to learn more information. I think that'd be great. But it is funny to me that they phrase it as Lil Sebastian's favorite charity when obviously he can't pick. I just love that so much.
Yeah, I think that's great too.
Well, then the performance of Mouse Rat comes on, and she says it's Andy Dwyer, but it's actually Mouse Rat. It's such a good song. I love all that the whole audience is carrying candles. I love this rock star move that he kicks his stool out, and then Burley and Alan Yang come out, and Mark Rivers is on the drums. It's so moving.
I loved that because it starts out really soft and gentle with just Andy, and then they break it out, which I think is great. I think they're taking this like, okay, let's all be emotional for a second, and then let's not move on, but kind of that jive.
Yeah, totally. It was such a good song / what's the word? I don't know. Just a nice emotional vibe, like you said. Yeah, I don't know how else to say.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
Yes. They did say on the commentary that a lot of times the writers will write the lyrics and then Mark Rivers will do the music.
Okay.
But Mark Rivers also does a lot of the lyrics as well. But I also really like the harmonies in it. Like, I think Alan Yang is actually singing that. I love that.
Okay.
And
That's
I
very
just
cool.
love how literal Andy took it, Leslie's note of make it candles in the wind, but 5,000 times better. And it's literally your 5,000 candles in the wind.
I love it. It's beautiful.
And apparently this became the anthem for Parks and Rec. Like, they played this song at every rap party, and they always had it on, or not on, but like it was like basically their anthem, which I thought was so
catchy.
cute.
Yeah, it's catchy.
And I do have a funny little, not funny, but like a little tidbit about Mark Rivers and Mike Schur. So apparently the first song they ever had Andy do, Mark Rivers was in Mike Schur's office and he basically just improvised the whole song. And then that's what they ended up using. And I thought that was so wild. I think that the first song was the rock show song, which was The Pit, right?
I think so.
They didn't say exactly which song it was, but Mark Rivers like was amazing is basically all they're trying to say.
Yes, which we knew.
Yes, which we knew. But I will say that I think Dan Gore was on this commentary. Yeah. And he wrote this episode and he was like, well, look, sometimes the writers write the lyrics too. Okay. I was like that. Okay. We hear you.
Okay. We get it.
All right. So now Ben and Leslie are talking. Everything is messed up. Everyone is doing different things than they were supposed to be doing. Donna's reading Jerry's poem so terribly. And a lot of Parks fans are, kind of double checking this because it turns out that Donna can actually sing Italian arias. So she should be able to pronounce this like later on in the series.
Well, she sings an Italian song at when
Exactly.
Leslie's walking down the aisle in
At the
the
wedding.
Parks department. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it doesn't check out, but it is freaking hilarious.
It is freaking hilarious,
So.
especially her face when she's like, I don't know.
Looking over at them like, you're really making me do this right now?
Yes. And Retta said that when she was actually filming this, she sang it as another option. So that I thought that was interesting and funny because that comes back around that she does end up singing an Italian piece.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now Ron comes up and says that he's mad that he can't lay the wreath instead of lighting the flame. That line
I think
was
you would
so
know.
funny.
But I prefer to lay a ceremonial wreath.
Than light a flame. I think that was so
Weirdo.
funny. Like, how would you know?
Yeah. That is such a weird thing. Anyway, this is
Apparently
just,
that was added on the day of that line,
Oh.
which I think is so funny.
that's a great line. Yeah. I just have written, this is so incredibly stupid for two of the smartest people in this show.
Yes. I think, again, they might be showing that they're book smart, but not street smart.
Yeah. Very true. Very, very true.
Oh my gosh, you're right. And that, like, I don't know. I think it's kind of new for them too because they have never really had this kind of like love before or this kind of like infatuation. I guess it's not love yet, but I feel like this is a different vibe than their other relationships. So they don't even know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. No, I can definitely
Also,
see
this
that.
is probably their first time ever hiding something like this. So like, not saying that you should be well versed in this, but you should also, again, be a little more street smart.
Yeah.
A little more
A
common
little
sense.
bit more aware. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny that Ron figures it out, basically. Smart dude. He's just like, who caught you?
Mm-hmm. Well, he knows. He knows they're not being careful.
Right. And I love that they try to play it off again where they're like, Ron, congratulations. Oh my God, you get to light the flame. And then that's when that line about laying the wreath comes in.
Yeah.
But we learned that Ron was hit by a school bus. That's
Yeah.
the only other time he's cried.
Okay,
What?
man. Damn.
But also, I guess up until this point, because doesn't he cry when his barber dies?
Yeah. At Salvatore's funeral, he cries. Yeah.
So that's still not very many times, but you know.
No.
Anyway, he takes it so seriously. He's doing the army march thing, you know, like
Yep.
ugh,
Very
and he
seriously.
yeah. Also, did you notice, this is probably silly of me, but he has like mist coming out when he's talking, like it's really cold. I wonder if they added that in or it is
Yeah.
LA and it's probably an overnight shoot, so it probably was cold.
It could have
but-
been cold. Yeah, and even though this aired in like April or whatever, they probably filmed it in like
Right.
February, I would think.
Yeah.
So that could
Yeah.
check out.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then we learned that Jerry thinks that lighter fluid is the same as propane, which good to know, bro. And it blows up in Ron's face.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Little fun fact about that. Ron/Nick Offerman really begged to do this himself, but it was a stunt person. You can't tell, I don't think.
No, you can't.
Apparently Megan Mullally was on this commentary as well, because she comes in as Tammy too. And she said that he's done stunts before without mentioning it to her. And so she was really happy that they didn't let him do it. And she literally went up to Mike Schur and was like, please don't let him do this. Do not let him do this. And he was like, don't worry,
Same.
he's not going to do it.
Yeah, same. I would
Nick
be
Offerman,
mad.
I guess, really wants to do his own stunts or whatever, but yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's really dangerous.
Oh,
no thanks.
God. And then Ben's face is so uncomfortable again, like that panic face that he makes when Cube Butt happens. He's like, yay, that we meant for that to happen.
Yay.
Oh my God, so
bad.
awkward.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, it was powerful, I guess. Oh God, those kinds of award shows / like, it's not an award show, but you know what I mean? Those kinds of events, I feel something always shitty happens, and then you're like, was that meant to happen or not meant to happen?
Right.
What? Well, now we're at the back of the Parks Department, if you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Jerry's apologizing to Ron. That camera angle is so funny. Like, we don't see Ron first. It's just, the camera's just on Jerry, and then it cuts to Ron, and all of his facial hair is fucked up. His eyebrows are gone. Top part of his head is burned. I reached out to the makeup / hair artist on this, because I was like, how did you do this? Because his hair really does look burned. Like, it all looks burned, which, you know, an hour and a half ago, we talked about how his mustache looked taped on, because they shaved off his mustache to make it seem like it was burned off. Apparently, okay, so the hair artist on this was Renee Vaca. Shout out to her. Love her. I'll tag her. Well, I'll ask if she wants me to tag her, because maybe she doesn't. But either way, she said it was definitely his hair, like on top of his head. It wasn't a wig, because I was like, was that a wig? And she said it was just product and dry shampoo and fire retardant. Like,
oh wow,
like what's in a fire extinguisher, and they just put that on his hair and mixed it all together. It was no hairspray or anything like that. She was saying how great of hair Nick Offerman has. So he didn't have to do much, but like his hair really took to that product. But yeah, it's so crazy. I love that.
That's awesome.
Very
cool.
Love that information. Like, I thrive on that type of information.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
No, it is. It's fascinating. And then knowing that the bottom, they had actually taken that off, and then
and his eyebrows.
Yeah. So those were actually gone too?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Isn't it hard for eyebrows to grow back?
I don't know. Good question.
Well, I guess they had like 3 or 4 months before they were going to start filming again.
Yeah, that's true. Well, because remember when I said that they wanted him to shave for something, and then like literally the next day his mustache had grown back. So like he's really good at hair growing. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they tested it. That would be really interesting to know as well. Like maybe they did a little bit, and then, or maybe they put makeup on the rest or something. But yeah, crazy. Wow. But his hair, if you look at the picture, like you'll see, and I took a picture of it, so I'll post it, but it is interesting to see his hair like that. And it's like some of his mustaches, like there's little pieces of hair left. They did a great job. All right. So now Ben and Leslie are talking. And it's really interesting, this like subtle kind of way they have their own solutions for this. Like Ben's like, well, do you want to break up or do you want to tell Chris? And Leslie's like, no, we'll just keep doing the same secretive thing, but operation shut down. Like we do nothing at work. And everyone / me was like, you should have been doing that in the first place.
Right. Right. I love this spy shot.
I do too. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to me that to her, this is like going out on a limb, you know, where everyone else like is like, that's what you should have been doing. What are you talking about? But I think going back to what Ben said, like going out on a limb for Leslie would be to take the big risk of telling Chris. But to her, this is the ultimate risk because she wants to have both and she loves her job. So yeah, it's just, it's hard. It's a lot, but it is cute. She's like, no, it's worth it if I can like, you know, be with you.
Yeah.
I love this playlist in the back too. Wild Horses is playing. All the horse songs.
They have great music in this episode, and I really wanted to know how much they had to spend on this, because while it's there and people like us are listening, some people might not hear it, and you just spent like $100,000 on music. Yeah. Because it's the Rolling Stones' Wild Horses and then A Horse with No Name by America. which are great songs.
I just love that they're all horse themed. I think it's so funny.
I do too. It's very well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much they spent on it. They didn't really talk about it. Okay, so now Tom is talking to Ron about his future, and Ron is very supportive either way, and I love the reason why he's supportive is because Tom slows everything down, so it would be awful to lose him.
Yeah. I love that Tom feels like he can come to Ron to talk about this.
I do too. Yeah, because I would never really, I don't think I would ever tell my boss, I'm thinking of leaving. What do I do?
Right. Yeah.
But I think that some people have that relationship and some companies / departments are, different.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then Tammy 2 comes in. We love
yes.
2 of my lovers in one place.
Does the carpet match the face?
I love that line. There's too many good lines in this one.
Really, there are.
Well, Anne finally goes to talk to Chris about the tendinitis. And also, I think this one is so funny to me because it gets me every time I watch this episode where Chris says death is the opposite of, I always want to finish it with life, but she says being alive. And I'm like, oh. Because you death, life, but, or dying, being, I don't know, whatever. And then this is where he comes back and says, I'd rather do, there's no point in living life alone. I'd rather do the push-ups with someone on my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it gives the impression that he might be more interested in Anne. He looks over at Anne, and I'm just like, are you being serious?
Dude. Yeah. No, and yeah, that, I have lots of thoughts and feelings as this series goes on. But
yeah.
No, you have a friend now. She was a bigger person and said, hey, friends, we can be friends and take it and leave it for right now.
Just leave it, sir. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he's not being very considerate, but I guess this is just a little spark right now. He hasn't acted on it yet, but okay, whatever. He's just thinking about a lot of things and his mortality. So whatever.
Yeah, I don't think he's in a place to be making any big decisions.
Agreed. Well, whatever. Okay, Chris. Kyle comes back now and he's buying CDs. I love that there is a taco and a motorcycle on the CD cover.
Yes. Yeah. Very rock and roll.
I did email Kyle, Andy Forrest, because we've talked to him. So you'll have to go back and listen to that episode. I'll link it in the show notes. But he said, I'll just read his email. He said, "Hi, exclamation point. That was a very straightforward scene. April was an attack saleswoman. She took my money without apology and charged me a higher price for getting both CDs. And it was all my money to boot. I was not at the Fairgrounds Memorial. But I would like to think that a Kyle hologram was the closing act. But alas, no." And then he said, "Have a great show." So thanks, Andy, for messaging back.
We appreciate that.
Yes. And then show Andy, Parks and Rec Andy, says he's going to ask the biggest thing he's ever asked in my entire life. And April's like, we're already married.
We're married. Yeah. That wasn't the biggest thing.
He asks her to be the manager of him. And
which I think is cute.
Yeah, it is cute.
And high praise.
Mm-hmm. Well, then we have another montage kind of moment where we see all these scenes happening under a voiceover and a song, which is this time it's the song that they played at April and Andy's wedding. It wasn't Bye Bye Lil Sebastian, as far as the commentary said. Because at the end, you hear, at the very last scene, you hear things I really want to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tom gives his resignation letter to Ron. Ben looks at Leslie longingly, and then she's greeted by our guy William Barnes, who is going to be a recurring character here. And him and his associate are going to ask if Leslie would be interested in running for office. And this line, oh my God, absolutely! I am very sorry. I just said that.
I used that word.
Did you notice? I never noticed this before, but there's a third guy at the table that doesn't talk.
Yes. Yeah, but he never comes back, so that's why he doesn't stay in our brain, I think.
Yeah, it's so weird. That's so funny. He's not even looking at Leslie, really, when you look at it. But anyway, so then Donna comes in and says his ex-wife is there, and I love that Donna says orifice.
Orifice.
She's in your orifice. And Ron thinks he's talking about Tommy. She's talking about Tammy 2, but it's really Tammy 1, and even Tammy 2 gets scared, and so many layers here. Number one, this is a great insight into how well Donna knows Ron, and how long they've been together. episode in the bubble when Donna's the one that can talk to Ron in any way she chooses, boss or not, because they've been together for so long. But then number 2 is like, how scary is Tammy 1 if Tammy 2 is running away?
Yep.
Crazy. And then let's see. So there's this. I was gonna say there's a tiny editing moment where Donna's lips are moving, but it doesn't match the screen, and I caught it. But it's okay. It happens. I'll forgive that. You can't win them all, you know.
Yeah. Very true.
Okay. The stakes are so high in this next moment. This is where William Barnes is actually asking, when you run a campaign, your life is an open book, regardless of how small the campaign is. Is there a scandal out there? You need to tell me. Like, is there something in your life that people are going to catch on to? Woo! The way she looks at Ben and straight up lies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, nope.
Yeah, which comes back and bites her in the ass.
Oh, my God.
But I mean, do you think about it? What do you say in that moment? Like, yes, there is something. Like, and maybe they'll coach me through it, or... Like,
or
what
I
do you
just
do?
gotta figure out a situation.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. This is where the song is playing over her, and like at the end, the subtitles say for the song, "He burned in so little time," and then
I heard that.
Right? Yeah. Like I think these lyrics are nonsensical.
Yeah.
The guy who played William Barnes is played by Johnny Sneed, and the thing I always remember / recognize him for is Fever Pitch, which is so lovely. That movie was with Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore. He's the one that Jimmy Fallon almost sells his tickets to. That movie was in 2005.
Yeah, that's insane.
Wild. But he's also been in Ray Donovan. Before either of us had lived there. Oh, you said what?
Before either of us had lived there.
I know, crazy. Yeah, and I remember being so excited moving there and being like, oh my God, Jimmy Fallon stood on this street corner and Drew Barrymore. But he was in Ray Donovan, Criminal Minds, Whitney, 13 Reasons Why. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And the gal who played the other one that Leslie's talking to is named Antonia Raftu. She's been in CSI New York, a show called Chemistry, like a bunch of short films. I couldn't find her contact information on where I usually find it. So, you know, we love you, Antonia. But I did talk to Johnny, and I don't want to like go too crazy because you never know who might cancel or whatever. But he is very interested in coming on the podcast. So hopefully we will talk to him and you guys will get to ask some questions to him. I did have a really fun commentary moment that I'm going to play that Mike Schur was talking about Johnny. And I'm going to play it for him if he comes on too, because I think it would be really fun for him to relive it. But I'm going to play it right now just because it's cute.
Yay.
Sneed about to show up here, and he was an actor that we really loved who auditioned for Greg Daniels and me when we were doing the pilot. We really loved him, and we've always wanted to use him. And when we came up with this idea, he was our first idea of like, because he's just a tall, kind of good-looking guy. He seems like lives in a different world than Leslie does, and he's just very confident and kind of quiet as a performer. I thought he did a really good job.
But he has a small town quality.
Yeah, he's still not like a big city slicker guy. He really did a great job. In real life, he's from North Carolina or something. He's got a very, very slight drawl that makes him seem like he's authentic to Indiana. And that's Antonia Raftu, who plays the woman next to him.
Yeah, she was great too.
It was also great.
Both of them really did a great job. And Amy's on fire in this scene.
Yeah, so I thought that was so cute.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very sweet.
Yeah. So
they're
I
right,
like that.
though. He doesn't seem like he's from Pawnee.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He seems like he's from Indianapolis or somewhere a little bit more fancy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be really, I think that Johnny said that too when I was emailing him. He was like, you know, we had kind of known each other. I had auditioned for them before, blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad they got a chance to get him in. That's really awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Then we have all these lines about catching the number 12 bus to Satan's butthole and number 69 train to Humpsville Station. Apparently they had a line that they cut out that I think Megan Mullally said where she was like, well, there's room in the caboose.
Oh, gosh. Oh.
So dirty. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm done with the main part of the episode, and now I'm at the tag if you are.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Well, they're showing the Entertainment 720 space. Tom's talking on the phone to someone, but reveals he's not actually talking on the phone. Did you see his bright yellow shoes?
No.
He has these like yellow shoes on that do not match his outfit. And I was like,
seems Jean Ralphio, though.
And then these famous like circle chairs that we'll be keeping on seeing. I also read that, you might have found this too, Entertainment 720 headquarters was a completely white 15,000 square foot room, and it was an old furniture store in LA.
I didn't know it was an old furniture store.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. Mike sure described the setting as maybe the craziest thing that's ever been on our series. Every time I watch it in the edit bay, I have this weird crisis. Is this okay that this scene is how we're ending this entire season? It's truly nuts. It's like a hallucinogenic nightmare.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's true.
Yep.
DJ Blunt is there, by the way. I could not find him for the life of me. So I don't know who he is.
Because he comes back.
Him. Yeah, maybe he'll be listed in further episodes. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But and then Detlef Schrempf. Oh my God.
Yes.
I love that he keeps coming back.
Yeah, and we know he's a very successful businessman. So
yes. I thought
later
that was
when he
so
gives
funny.
advice, it's funny.
Yeah, I wrote that too, that he speaks to everyone else's thoughts. Like he asks, what does this business do?
Right.
Yeah, and he's like, what? And yeah, I wrote that as well. Like, remember when we did our deep dive on him? He's a businessman / entrepreneur. He heads up like a lot of charities, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. He has his own Detlef Schrempf Foundation, which helps to donate money / help local charities. And I just love that Tom is like, you don't even know what you're doing, bro. Like, just shoot hoops. Also, like, it's just hilarious. Like, why did they have him? Like,
yeah. Unnecessary costs, people.
There's not even anyone there. If they were trying to like make people impressed, then okay, but no one's even there.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh my god,
they said sweating real sexy on the Stairmaster.
Oh my, yes, that's Tessa, the new
Nobody
assistant.
sweats sexy. Sorry,
sweating real sexy. Oh my god, I like that clear purple desk. It's so, a lot of this stuff is like so 90s vibes, you know, like you used to have like the blow up chairs and the clear phones that you could see all the wires through. And then the petty cash and the clear toilet bowl.
Because we're flush with cash.
Flush with cash.
So good.
She is played by, Tessa is played by Talia Tabin. Talia, I'm so sorry. I should have asked. This is the stuff that I don't ask because I'm too busy asking the questions, and I'm sorry. But if you let me know how your name is pronounced, tell me later. She sent in some voice memos, so I'll be able to ask her. I'm so excited that she did. She's been in Mr. Mayor, which was the show with Ted Danson, a.k.a. The Good Place Fella, and Cheers. Hello, if you don't know Ted Danson. She's also been in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Love, The Grinder, which is the show Rob Lowe was on, so that's fun. Little crossover. My Blind Brother, which is a movie with Jenny Slate and Nick Kroll, so lots of crossover. And she was also in an episode of New Girl. And then she comes back next season in Ron and Tammy. So she must be at an Entertainment 720 event, which I don't remember, but we'll get there when we get there.
I want to know what New Girl episode she's in.
Okay. Well, while you're looking that up, I'm going to play her first question, and I haven't listened to these either, so I'm excited to respond.
Yay.
Hi, it's nice to meet you guys. Excited to answer these questions. So I remember so much about my audition for Parks and Rec because it came up kind of funny. So I had been watching Parks and Rec, and I was loving it. I was just like, I'm obsessed with the show. I would tell all my friends about it. And I weirdly one day was at home and I got a phone call and I didn't answer because I didn't know the number. And then I listened to the message and it said like, hi, this is casting for Parks and Rec. We'd love to have you come in and audition. And I was just like, oh, my friend's playing a prank on me. So I called my best friend and I was like, what's up with this? And she was like, I didn't do that. So then I broke out into a hot sweat. And earlier that year, I had done a short film with a writer, one of the writers on that show that I don't think I had put it together that he was a writer on that show at the time, but his name was Harris Wittels. And I did a short film with him and this guy, his like best friend Armin, and they used to do a ton of shows at UCB, which is the Upright Citizens Brigade. Sorry if you can hear my baby in the background. But, oh boy, now we have a rattle. I knew him and I knew how funny he was. And when I called back this casting department, they said Harris Wittels had given them my name. So I just was like over the moon that I was able to go and audition for them. So I went in and there was like 4 other girls who were all from UCB, and I had just started at UCB. So I like knew no one. I was so nervous. I was just like petrified. But UCB is all about improv. So I knew that, you know, like you had to have that like comedy sense about you. And I also like knew the show really well. So I went in and I think my audition was the scene that I did in, I'm not sure actually. I think it was the scene. I think it was like 1 line or 2 lines or something. And I remember just like being so nervous with the casting director and seeing all these other like such like just funny women. And then I got a call. I want to say they called me directly. Like they didn't even call my managers, that I got it. And that was me booking. That was my first television job ever. And I just remember losing my mind and then texting Harris and being like, I can't thank you enough. This is such a big deal. And he wrote me back like all of this stuff of like, you know, how he wanted me to play the character. And he was like, it's super grounded and it's very real. Like, I think he knew how green I was. So it was very cute. He was my Parks and Rec guardian angel.
Oh my God.
It's so sweet. Her baby's adorable. I just looked up her Instagram.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my God, I love hearing that about Harris. Rest in peace, my dude. Oh my God. So precious.
Sweet that he did that.
Yeah, that would be really shocking to me as well for a casting office to just call, because that's not how that goes. Like, how did they find you? Like, there's so many actors. Like, what? I totally understand why she thought that wasn't real.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
that's
God.
crazy. I looked it up. So New Girl, where she was a new girl, is in the micro penis episode, if you remember that.
I don't remember it, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I believe it just says woman, but the only woman I can place in that episode is his girlfriend when she comes home from the grocery store and realizes that he's been trying to date Jess.
Oh.
So, yeah, just in case people know what's up with that. I also noticed on her Instagram that she's a co-host of the Friends Talk Frasier and Feelings podcast.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Very cute.
Yeah. Podcast
it's like our vibe, but different show.
Yeah, that's true. Love that. Okay, well, that's the first one. She sent in 4. So, because I asked 4 questions, because that's how I go. I want to be thorough.
How was my day working on set with Ben Schwartz and Aziz? So I've never been so nervous in my life. Obviously, like going to set. I remember, I think I wore my own. I think they had you like. I went a day before to go do my costume fitting, and they really liked these like tall brown boots that I wore to the audition, and they were like, can you bring those in? I remember that was like part of the costume fitting. So I had already been on set or seen people or something like a day before. And then that next day I came into work. Oh, I had already known Ben Schwartz a little bit from UCB. So I want to say maybe I Facebook messaged him or something and was like, hey, I'm going to be on this show with you. So I want to say, and meanwhile, this is like so many years ago, I want to say that Ben was a little like Big Brother vibes to me on set. He was very like, Aziz, this is Talia, and like I know her from UCB, and so that was very cool. I remember feeling, because I was so nervous, like deep down in my bones, I could barely function. But I had, I'm sure, like a little baby trailer. I remember they like did my hair and makeup, and I felt so special. Even though they do hair and makeup for everybody. Then there were all these basketball players. So there was Detlef Schrempf, and there was also Roy Hibbert, maybe not. All these basketball players, and they were a big deal. And I just like didn't know anybody or know or care. So I think I just like chatted with them a bunch because I was like, oh, what do you do? like, we're professional basketball players. I was like, that's exciting. And so that was probably very embarrassing. I will say, on set, I'm sure you guys know this and have talked to other people, they had a bunch of cameras, and Ben and Aziz just like went to town improvising. I would say they probably started off with the script maybe once, and then these guys would just riff and take after take, like level up their comedy in a way that just like I still haven't really seen. Aziz and Ben doing those intros for their company was like one of the funniest days on set ever. I remember we were in this huge warehouse and it was freezing, and they just had like these weird furniture like scattered around, and they're like, okay, you're gonna sit here at a little desk, and then there's gonna be a toilet bowl full of cash over there. And I just was like, yeah, at anything they said, I was like, okay, great, okay. And I want to say we maybe rehearsed it or kind of like walked through it once, and then they just let these guys roll, and I just had to like bite my tongue to keep from laughing. And it was just like a dream. Like, I just remember thinking like, am I in heaven? This is truly my favorite show. The fact that I'm here right now is insane. Harris wrote, I forgot to say, I think Harris wrote the episode. And so that's why he recommended some people for this part. And, I just was in true heaven. And I remember like watching Ben play basketball with like some of the basketball players and just being like, wow, wish I knew how to play basketball so I could get in there and like hang with those guys. I will say, I don't think I really talked to Aziz. I think it was just like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And I was like, nice to meet you. And that was it. Ben, I talked to like a bit more just because I knew him from this mutual improv theater. But also he was like talking with the basketball players because I'm sure that was like so cool for him. So I want to say that first day. Oh, I know. I also chatted a bunch with Alan Gang, who was one of the writers on that at the time. And he was really lovely to me and like answered a bunch of questions. And for some reason, maybe Harris wasn't there that day, I don't think. And so Alan was super kind and chatted with me a bunch. Yeah, God, what a dream. Take me back. That's how I feel right now.
Yay! That was so cool. Oh my God, I love hearing how much she loved the show, because I feel like not the majority. Well, actually, yeah, I think the majority of people didn't watch the show before they came on.
Especially in the second season.
Mm-hmm.
We got that a lot where people hadn't seen the show yet.
Yeah. So that's so cool that she was into it and that she knew Ben Schwartz. And yeah, I love that. And I love how excited she is about how, like, she just sounds like us, kind of just like if we were on set of Parks and Rec, we would like flip our lid. Like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. And also being on set with all the basketball players. But it also goes to show, like, I don't know, it's really hard to go up and talk to people on set that you don't know. You just have to be so, like, you know, outgoing and just who cares kind of vibes. But it's, and also they're like running their lives as well. Like, they want to make everything go smoothly, so maybe things are moving fast. But yeah, that's so cool. And also, Talia, don't worry about the baby. We love the baby noises.
Yes.
We have cat noises and dog noises on here, so that's just, it is what it is.
We're adding to it.
Okay, question number 3.
So when I did this job, I had no idea I was coming back. Yeah, I mean, I had hoped I would. I didn't like really understand TV as much at that time, which is kind of probably a blessing, because I probably would have gotten my hopes up and been like, oh my God, this all rides on me being asked back. I didn't have that. I was just like so overwhelmed by just being there. But then I don't know how I get asked back. They must have called my managers and been like, they want you back for another episode. And I lost my mind. I was just like, this is my life. I'm going to like be on Parks and Rec. This is my dream. I will say, I think I talked to Ben Schwartz a million years later, and he was like, yeah, they wanted to write in this whole storyline, and like you and me were going to like be, you know, on the show for like many episodes. But then I booked that TV show Lie to Me. And so they like changed the storyline. And I was like, why did you ruin my life? Except then I did another part on his show, Lie to Me. So I guess my life wasn't ruined. But I would have rather been on Parks and Rec for 5 episodes because it was my favorite thing in the world. Did I get any direction from my character? Yes, I got direction from my character. Harris would text me and be like, be very chill, be grounded, don't do a lot. Which was super helpful because I'm sure I would have been like, I have to like do things because I'm on TV now. The guys improvised so much. That last beat where he's like, go diving or something. I don't even remember. And I go gross. I really want to like hope and pray that was improvised, but it probably wasn't. And it was probably something genius that Harris wrote. So yeah, I just remember like probably a very good feeling of like them getting a take of that and then saying gross and then like cut, or, you know, Ben goes and shoots the basket and people laughing afterwards and being like, oh my God, is this the best feeling in the world? People laughing after you act. And I just remember that like really solidifying how much I loved comedy. But this is not about me. This is about Parks and Rec. So I think they tried to hire people that really like were the right casting. I don't think they were bringing people on who they needed to like coach and give a bunch of direction to. And they were so gracious about it. I will say I'm not like a annoying brat like that, but I maybe I was at the time, and maybe that's why I got it.
Yay, that's so awesome. I love that. That's cool. And I think Harris was a script supervisor. So Dan Gore wrote the episode or gets the writing credit, but you know that everybody, like, meaning that he had the like first draft mostly, and then everybody kind of added stuff as well. So I'm sure Harris was really involved with the writing of this, and that's probably, you know, it sounds like he really was, especially on set. So that's probably why she thinks that. But I mean, we love Harris and we know how involved he was. So I'm sure he had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But yay. Okay, last question.
Memories are everybody just being so cool and everybody laughing and like having such a good sense of humor. And I remember like going in for the costume fitting, and the costume people were so great and very funny, and everybody just, it was like by the time I got on, it was just a really well-oiled machine, and they knew what they liked and they knew what they wanted. And I think it was like still, you know, early on enough that everybody was like, we're the luckiest people to be here on the planet. And they like, I felt like they could just see how good they had it. And then Ben being like such a kind, you know, person, friendly face, showing up to a television show, not only like your favorite, but just like any television show, to do a job one day is often like very challenging because everybody knows each other and they know the drill, and they know, you know, where to go for food and where to go for trailers and like all that kind of stuff. So it's so nice to have a friendly face, and Ben Schwartz was like fully that for me, and very kind about that. And my only sadness is that our storyline got cut, and I wish I had done 10 million episodes. I will say I was up for a job on on The Good Place many years later with Mick Shore, and he was just as lovely and as cool and funny as everybody said he was, because I didn't meet him on that day. And I hope to work with those people in the future because they were so rad. I am currently on an improv team called Yeti, and we have an Instagram where you can like learn about our shows. We still perform at the Upright Citizens Brigade in LA, and we perform at another theater in LA. And that Instagram handle is at Yeti for You. And I'm just so happy that you guys asked me to like relive some of my Parks and Rec favorite memories. And this was such a dream. So thank you guys. Bye.
Yay. That was
awesome.
Yeah.
She was in a movie with Adam Scott and Nick Kroll and Jenny Slate, all of people who were in Parks
That's
and
the one
Rec,
I
called
just
My
said.
Blind Brother. Yeah, that one. But I didn't realize it was
My
those
Blind
people.
Brother. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was all these Parks people.
I know, it's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'm sure there's like lots of crossover, but yeah, I would have felt the same way about Ben Schwartz. Like, could I just be on Parks and Rec forever instead of you doing your own show?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
But
I'd be
that's
the same
awesome.
way.
I guess they could have, if they wanted to, had her and Tom be together instead, but I know it's too late now to think about that.
Yeah.
But
Time has passed.
But yes, I will definitely tag her improv group and her Instagram. And I would love to go see them if I'm ever back in LA. That'd be awesome. But thank you so much for all of the details. We really appreciate it, Talia. And yeah, so we'll definitely message. We would love to hear stuff about Ron and Tammy. So I'll definitely message her back when that episode comes up.
Absolutely.
So we can go from there. But I mean, that's Lil Sebastian. That's all I got for you.
Yeah.
That was crazy and so lovely. And yeah, there's really nothing left to say. So we hope you have a wonderful week and that you stay tuned for some more. We have some really good guest interviews coming up next. And then we'll be season 4, which is wild. And I'm Leslie Knope is coming up, which is the next episode. So
very
wild.
exciting.
Don't forget to look at our Patreon. You can get a vibe for feeling that out and joining our subscription. And I'll link that in the show notes. And then email us if you want to. That's also in the show notes, parkpalspodcast@gmail.com, as well as our Instagram and TikTok. You know where to find us. So yes, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
And rest in peace, sweet Lil Sebastian, a.k.a. Gideon. Bye.
There's a Parkinson Pals and there's also therapy too.